Hi, welcome back everybody to the Dough Cooking Show, to the Dough Cooking Stream. I hope you're all having a beautiful Sunday. If you're watching this live, it is currently Sunday, 5 p.m. EDT, June 23rd, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and it is lovely to have all of you. Hello to all of my lovely sous chefs. Hello to Jinx the Minx. Hello to Trash Can Cat Mom. Hello to Eliam. Hello to Scribblo. Hello to Moonhum. Hello to Canadian Panda as well. Welcome on in. It is lovely to have all of you. Hi. So, everybody, today we're going to be doing something really exciting. We'll be doing something really fun. I've also forgot to turn off my air conditioner, or turn it on rather, so please excuse me for just a moment. We're going to be doing something that's going to be delicious, and it's going to be tasty, and it's going to be comforting, and it's going to be beautiful. We will be doing a mac and cheese, my friends. But we're not just going to be doing any kind of mac and cheese. We're going to be doing a Korean-inspired mac and cheese. It's going to be spicy. It's going to have some gochujang in it. It's going to have some gochugaru in it. It's going to be garnished with some sesame seeds. It's going to have some scallions in it as well. And it's going to be melty and cheesy and a little bit spicy as well. It's going to be really, really lovely today. And then alongside it, my friends, we'll be doing this really, really plain, basic, fresh kimchi made out of my leftover green cabbage. We'll talk about that all in just a second. But today is all about comforting food. I wanted something cheesy. I wanted something comforting. I wanted something delicious. I wanted something pleasant. I want mac and cheese. It is just as simple as that. I've been craving mac and cheese for a little bit, but I've wanted to do something really special with it. Also, welcome on in Australia Wow as well as Turina. It is lovely to have the both of you. Okay, so mac and cheese, and then alongside it we'll also be doing a fresh kimchi. So everybody, a little bit of a misconception. There's two misconceptions surrounding kimchi by people that only know one kind of kimchi. The first is that kimchi has to be fermented. People think of kimchi like pickles, right? They think that it always has to be fermented. And the second thing that they think is that kimchi always has to be made out of Napa cabbage. And what I'm going to say is that neither of these two things necessarily have to be true. In Korean cooking, there's so many different kinds of variations on kimchi. You'll see it be done with Napa cabbage. You'll also sometimes see it be done with green cabbage. It's not the most popular abroad. The most popular abroad is, you know, the Napa cabbage that you get in a little jar. But in my case, I had leftover half a head of cabbage, and I also have some leftover carrots. And so the carrots are going to be there in place of something like radishes, but it's all going to be delicious. It's all just going to be these really quick pickled vegetables, not really a pickle at the end of the day, just seasoned marinated vegetables, and it's going to come out lovely, and it's going to come out delicious, because it's kimchi at the end of the day. So let's go ahead and walk through all of our ingredients. And everybody, we are beginning today with a really, really fun pasta shape. I here have some gemelli. Gemelli, it's really, really fun. It's really, really twisty. I guess I could probably just open this up to you now and show it to you. Also, Negatano, welcome on in. It is lovely to have you. Hope you're having a beautiful day today. I don't know if you guys could see, but it's like these little twisty guys. I don't know if the camera is necessarily focusing on that all too well, but we'll be able to see it better in the overhead shot. And I'm really just looking for any yummy short pasta. Elbows, cavatappi, small shells, orecchiette, anything like that would be ideal for the mac and cheese. Okay, what else do we have? Everybody, these are going to be some of the most important ingredients of today. These are ingredients that you see everywhere in Korean cooking. If you want to make Korean food, you need gochugaru and you need gochujang. Gochugaru is a Korean pepper flake, and gochujang is a Korean pepper paste. Okay, these are used everywhere, all over Korean cuisine. Chef, when is bow tie pasta appropriate? Only when you need to fill up your trash can, Serena. So, we have some gochugaru, we have some of these lovely little flakes, we also have some of this lovely paste as well, and this is all gonna go into the mac and cheese as well as the kimchi that we're doing. Okay, next, everybody, let's talk about some of my vegetables that I have here. Okay, so we have some lovely cabbage. Once again, everybody, big misconception. Traditional Korean kimchi can be made out of a lot of different things, not just Napa cabbage. I had leftover half a head of cabbage, and so I wanted to make the most out of what I already had. That's what it means to cook at home, okay? We also have some of these leftover carrots. Traditionally, you would see radishes be used in a kimchi, and I figured carrots, not that too far off, we'll do some nice thin pieces of carrot as well. I have some red onion that I wanted to use up. That's gonna go both into the mac and cheese. And then I also have some of the serrano chili. I want a really, really spicy mac and cheese today. And then everybody, last but not least, for the kimchi, we also have a little bit of ginger. So carrot, cabbage, onion, chilies, and a little bit of ginger. I can go ahead and set that down. Everybody, for both the mac and cheese and the kimchi today, I have some Chinese chive, aka garlic chives. Okay, this is a produce that I really love. It's a really fun allium to work with. You can do it raw, you can do it cooked. It cooks down really, really beautifully. I love Chinese chive, and you should too. These are really, really easy to work with, and these are just gonna make their way into all the different things that we're making for today. So, big old bundle of Chinese chive. They're really, really aromatic. They're really, really pungent. They're super delicious. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and set that down. And everybody, it would not be Korean food without a little too much scallion. And I have here an entire container's worth of scallions ready to go, ready to be cooked up and added into my things today. It's gonna be used as a garnish, it's gonna go into the kimchi, it's gonna go into the mac and cheese as well. And that should be the main gist of all of my different components. So, everybody, really simple. We gotta salt the cabbage, get rid of the excess water as well as the carrots. And then we gotta do the stuff with the mac and cheese. And then while the mac and cheese is baking, actually, I don't know if I want to do a baked mac and cheese yet. I think we'll decide that as we get a little bit closer to the final assembly of it or not. But I guess we could do like a baked mac and cheese with like some panko breadcrumbs. But yeah, it's going to be delicious, everybody. The mac and cheese is going to be spicy. It's going to be yummy. So, is everybody ready for today? I want to hear a nice collective yes, chef, please, and thank you from everybody watching. Baked is the only way? Okay, I'm considering it. I want to bake in some sesame seeds on top as well. I wouldn't do the sesame seeds in the beginning because they could burn, but maybe in like the last few minutes of baking, we put some sesame seeds and it'll be lovely. Okay, I guess we'll just go ahead and figure it out. Okay, so everybody, today is going to begin with us dealing with the cabbage. Feel like we're getting more views on the new channel, Chef Liam? I sure hope that that's the case. Also, everybody, a little bit of housekeeping. I do need your full attention for this. Everybody, we're gonna have this stream today and then the stream on Wednesday, after which we are going to go on hiatus. I'm gonna be out of town on a work trip and then I'm gonna be moving. If all goes well, I'm gonna be signing a lease tomorrow. And so if that goes okay, I'm gonna be posting a full announcement on my Twitter and in my Discord. So !Discord if you haven't already joined it. It's gonna be a full extent of how long it's going to take for us before the streams come back. Guys, this is the second to last time that you will see this kitchen. If all goes well, Wednesday is going to be the last time that you see this kitchen, and then we will be moving into a different home, and so I will have a completely different setup. So hopefully, fingers crossed, all goes well. It might be a big hiatus. We don't know yet, but I just need to make sure that everybody is nicely and invested into the loop. Okay, so we have to begin by processing the carrots. We have to begin by processing the cabbage for the kimchi today. So let's go ahead and get started. Everybody, as always, I have a nice little cutting board all set up, all ready to go for today. Right, little wet paper towels to keep it nice and secure. And I have these 3 leftover carrots that I had sitting in my fridge. And so again, this is one of my inspirations for today. So much of what I really consider to be meaningful home cooking keeps on coming back to using up your existing leftovers. So carrots in a kimchi, not actually the most traditional thing in the world. Although a very, very common variation of kimchi is one that is done with radishes, one that is done with daikon radishes. So carrots, radishes, while they are quite different, they can still be functionally used in a really similar way. You should be able to look in your fridge, look at your existing produce, and think of all the different things that you can do with it. So all that we're going to do, my friends, is we're going to peel it, trim it, and then cut it into super, super thin little slices. So I have my waste bowl ready to go, and this is where I always put my vegetable scraps, all of my peelings, so that I don't have to go back and forth to the trash can. So let's just go ahead and peel up these carrots, my friends. Nice sharp V-neck peeler. I don't really like the L-shaped peelers. I like the V-neck ones more than anything. So just go through it and give it a nice little peel. Give it a little peel. Give it a little peel. Mandolins are great, but they crave your blood. That's right, Serena. The best way for something like a kimchi, where I'm actually going to go for like really, really thin slices, a mandolin, right? This tool, this like sharp tool that go brrr all the way through, does an amazing job, but that thing is a death machine for your fingers. So I don't own one. I would love to have one at some point, but oh, they are dangerous. So we're just peeling up the carrots, everybody, nothing fancy. And so, everybody, there's this really, really huge misconception with kimchi. Everybody thinks of kimchi as like the single homogeneous product. Oh, it has to be made with fish. It has to be done with dried anchovies and shrimp. It has to be fermented. Everybody, this is a fresh style kimchi, okay? Is that, oh gosh, I completely forgot about my throne. I did not update my wish list at all, Twitter. But yes, everybody, so kimchi does not always have to be like this fermented, pickled product. There is a very common variation of fresh kimchi, meaning you basically throw it all together and then you eat it within the next few days. It's not lacto-fermented, it doesn't have any of those fermented notes, but it tends to be a lot sweeter. It tends to be a lot cleaner in its taste. And guess what, my friends? That is okay too. They're just different things. They're just different. It's not to say that fermented kimchi is better or worse, but these are just two valid and different styles. I want to just use up my leftover cabbage and I want to use up my leftover carrots. So as a result, I'm not going to go through with the process of fermenting it myself. Also, because that is a process that takes multiple days and that is not something that is actually viable in a stream setting. I remember this one time, there was a Korean pop-up restaurant that I went to in New York and they had like an in-house made fresh kimchi and it was really, really lovely. And it was such a unique perspective on kimchi. I'm so used to just like the canned, the jarred stuff, but it was light and it was clean and it was so flavorful. And so that is what I'm trying to evoke for today. So everybody, we're just gonna go ahead and cut off the tops and the bottoms of all of my carrots. Just get those guys out of here. We have no use for them. Get them out of here, cut them up, trim them up, and get that all into your waste bowl. We need a Gengar Pop eating emote. Ooh, two dads. That's actually a really good idea. So thank you for the suggestion. Just like a 2-frame animation like that, that would be fantastic, I think. So thank you for the idea. I will actually keep that one in mind. Interesting. So everybody, now we have to think about the size of the slices of carrot that we want inside of the kimchi itself today. Please remember, this is a fresh kimchi. Meaning we don't actually have a lot of time to marinate this thing properly, for the spices to be able to infuse, for the salt to be able to infuse. Normally with radish kimchi, you can do some nice sizable chunks. We do not have such a privilege with carrots, especially in a fresh kimchi. The thinner that you slice it, the quicker that it's going to be able to take on a marinade or any kind of sauce. Okay, also, Genghis Khan 233, my accent sounds like a mix between Australian and European. Well, I'm glad to provide. I'm neither of those things, but sure. Also, say hi to Fire, welcome on in. It's lovely to have you. So, we're going to be going for really, really nice, thin slices of carrots, my friends. And so, we need a nice, sharp knife, and we don't chop it. Really, really huge distinction. If we were to go ahead and chop it, meaning a vertical force, right? And we were just to use this knife, ready? And we chop it, it sort of wedges it. And we get a piece that's thick on one end and thin on the other end. Instead, it is imperative that we hold it down and we use the full length of the knife with minimal vertical force. Okay? So just take it and go for really, really nice thin slices. Nice thin, and I'm not gonna really look for paper thin slices. This guy right here might have been like way too thick, but reasonably as thin as you can. We're just trying to ultimately match the chunks of cabbage after this, okay? And if you have a mandolin would be the ideal tool for this kind of a job. So, nice thin slices. Say the words mate, beer, and barbecue, and then that's an Aussie accent. I see. But no, there is nothing even remotely Australian about me. So, get in there, everybody. Get in there and just slice it up. And also, at the end of the day, this is a kimchi. It doesn't have to be perfect. It is a big mass of cheap vegetables and spices. So your knife skills for a task like this does not need to be impeccable. Okay? Explains why my cucumbers are thin on one side but big on the other. That's right. Nagatano, I'm telling you, this is such an important part of knife technique that people do not consider. Again, it is especially prevalent with really hard vegetables. Take a look again. I take it and I chop it down directly, right? Thick on one end, thin on the other end. That is why you have to slice it. Nice sharp knife, minimal force, slice it, slice it, slice it. Everybody, slicing and chopping, they are not interchangeable. They're not interchangeable at all. Chopping uses a super, super small portion of your knife, and it results in a lot of those wedged pieces. So in this household, we never chop, we only slice. Can I please get a yes, chef? Please and thank you. Okay, so that carrot is done. We have a couple more that we have to go ahead and go through. It's like an axe. If you chop it, it's like an axe. It's gonna cleave out. It's gonna push it out. And that is not what we're looking for. So, thin slices, thin, 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 all the way through, and just keep it going. That's all. Just gonna be focusing on the carrot in the meantime. Right? Beautiful, lovely little chunks of carrot. Also, Ali, okay, welcome on in. It is lovely to have you. Okay. keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And again, everybody, for anybody that's about to say, oh, this isn't a traditional kimchi. Again, kimchi can be made out of anything. People do apple kimchi. People do kimchi with so many different kinds of cabbage. People do kimchi with radishes. Kimchi is not like this homogeneous, exclusively Napa cabbage product that a lot of people think it is sometimes. Okay, kimchi can be so much more. And people would say, oh, it's not traditional that you're using green cabbage. There are traditional variations that use green cabbage. Okay, they're all just going to be different. They'll all still be equally delicious at the end of the day, but they will be above all else different. So take it and slice 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 it some more, my friends. We're almost done with this carrot, and then we have one last carrot to process. It's a bit of a chore. It's a bit of a hassle to be able to slice so many carrots so thinly, but at the end of the day, it's going to be worth it, and we are going to have one beautiful kimchi. Sorry, my conditioner, my AC lately has just not been getting cold enough, so I had to go ahead and give that a little bit of an adjustment. And everybody, let's go ahead and go through the very last carrot. So take it and slice it, and slice it, and slice it, and slice it, and keep going, and keep going, and keep going, and keep going, all the way through. Just like that. Nice and easy. Anybody can do it, as long as you have a nice sharp knife, my friends. And if you feel like your slices are not thin enough, just slow down. You don't have to go fast. I'm not going particularly fast at the moment. I'm not going brrr all the way through. Oftentimes when you see prep cooks be able to blaze through something really fast, sometimes their technique is a little sloppy, but also they've been doing this for a very long time. If you can't get it done fast, then just go slow. Everybody, you can't build tempo without technique. Start at a slow tempo. Start at a very, very slow pace. And I promise you, it will all just naturally come together. Okay? So almost done. Almost done with all of my little slices of carrot. Almost done. Almost done. I could probably pop out one more. And there you go, my friends. Those were my 3 leftover carrots. And we're going to be adding them into a really, really nice big bowl. Something big enough to accommodate both the carrots and the cabbage as well. So I'm gonna grab, everybody, once again, one of my favorite kitchen tools, a handy dandy little bench scraper. If you don't own this thing, you are making a mistake. Because instead of scraping with the side of a knife or anything like that, take a look, grab it, bundle it up, into the bowl it goes. Take it, grab it, and into the bowl it all goes. Okay? There you go. So, carrots inside, and again, everybody, this bowl looks really big, but you will see exactly how much volume the cabbage itself takes up. The cabbage, it takes up a lot, and I do mean a lot of space. Okay, so now we have to figure out the way that we actually want to cut this, if at all. Some people, they do big chunks, some people, they do little chunks, some people, they cut it up after it, like salts. Everybody, for my purposes today, I think I'm just going to go ahead, cut this, separate this into leaves, and then cut up the leaves. Okay, so we're gonna take this big old guy of cabbage and cut him into a quarter. And now I'm just gonna peel back all of the leaves. That's all. Just peel them back, and then we'll just give him a little chop and put him into the bowl. Peel it back, get it all off of that core. Everybody, we don't want this core. The core is a little bit too crunchy. It's a little bit too hard, especially for something like a kimchi. So we don't cook with it. We don't really do anything. That becomes a part of the waste for today. And so by plucking off the leaves like this, everything just naturally seems to fall apart. Okay? That top of the core is not too thick, so that should be all right. And let's go ahead and separate these layers. Well, I think it'd be first easier for us to cut this up into chunks. Okay, so chunk it and chunk it and chunk it and chunk it, just like so, and get that all into the bowl. And everybody, please thoroughly separate these layers. Separate it, separate it, separate it. You want them all nice and separated just so that they can go ahead and get salted. The goal of this step, we're gonna be heavily, heavily salting this. Okay, so that the salt is then able to easily penetrate and pull out the excess liquid. The salting stage, the marinating the kimchi itself in the salt is so essential to the process, be it if you're doing fresh kimchi or any other kind of fermented kimchi. Everybody, the salting is not a step that is even an option. You have to pre-salt it. The salt is gonna penetrate it, and then we're gonna get rid of the excess liquid. Cabbages usually emerge immaculate? Yeah, cabbages are quite clean, which I think is quite fascinating. Granted, they're very different plants, right? They have almost nothing related with each other, but still, You're absolutely right, Tuna. That is a little bit odd that leeks are so dirty on the inside. Okay. Maybe just like the bundles of leaves on the cabbage itself are like a little bit tighter. Sometimes bugs do get in between the layers as well. Okay, let's go ahead and snap off the core. Let's go ahead and chunk out some of these leaves as well. There we go. And everybody, once again, we're just gonna go ahead and just cut this up into some rough chunks. This is a kimchi. Again, you don't have to be perfect with your knife cuts at all for something like this. This is supposed to be home food. It's supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be something that you just whip up. Okay, we're doing this out of all of my leftover vegetables in the fridge. This is really, really efficient. We're not wasting anything. So honestly, don't overthink it. Do not overthink it. Smeem, it's inspiring you to stir fry some cabbage? Well, I'm glad I was able to have that kind of an effect on you. So, everybody, my cabbage has now been nice and separated, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into it and really, really thoroughly make sure that, especially these really, really thick chunks, that those get to be a little bit smaller. We want each of these leaves nicely separated, everybody. We want each of them nicely separated, everything separated. We want nothing clustered together. So taking a second just to toss all of it up. Oh gosh, I think I ran out of kosher salt in my salt container. I do need to... Wait, did I run out of kosher salt, period? Or did I just not refill it? Okay, I have some kosher salt left over. Not too much. So we'll be okay for today at least. So I'm going to go ahead and fill back up my container. Okay, that should be good for now. Okay, and so everybody, now we must heavily, heavily, heavily salt it. The goal for the salt is to both season the kimchi, to both season the carrots and the cabbage, but also to pull out all of the excess liquid. The salt is what basically softens everything in here. Okay, so maybe I cut my chunks a little bit too big, but also do keep in mind that it really, really, really shrinks as it sits there with the salt. Does anybody have any questions for me at this point in time? Just have to go ahead and check something. Please forgive me. Okay. So, let's go ahead and get that salt in, my friends. Let's go ahead and get it in there. Nice big pinch or two of salt. Chef, would you rather be a cabbage or a leek? Tarina, I think I would be a cabbage. I'd be a cabbage. I think I like cabbage a little bit more than I like leeks. Okay, and so everybody, all that we're going to go ahead and do, I'm going to grab a glove. I'm going to go ahead and toss this bad boy in with the salt. And the salt, again, super functional, super important. Massage the salt in. Make sure that the salt is on every single possible crevice of the carrots and of the cabbage. It's going to soften it. It's going to shrink it in texture a little bit. It's going to shrink it in size. And above all else, it's going to pull out all of that excess liquid. And if you feel like that's a little bit too much salt, my friends, don't worry. Almost all of it comes out in the process of us getting rid of the liquid. Okay, so you can see that it's already somewhat decreasing in volume. So just get it in there, get it all mixed around, and this needs to sit for about 40 minutes to an entire hour. So it's a lot of sitting, it's a lot of salting at the moment, but it'll all come out okay and be excellent. Okay. Everybody, what do you think? Do you think that's been salted enough? I think that's going to be salted enough. I just really want to like crunch it up a little bit with my hands. I just really want to make sure that the salt gets in there and the salt gets everywhere where it needs to go. And so, once again, this just needs to go out there and it needs to sit for about an hour or so. Not too long, otherwise the salt is going to penetrate it too much and it's going to lose all of its texture, but not so little that we don't actually modify the texture at the end of the day. So, salt on the cabbage. Everybody, I want to hear a nice yes, chef, please, and thank you. And this bad boy, we can go ahead and officially just set behind us, put it out of sight, put it out of mind, okay, and get him out of here. Hey, bad puns are the chat's job. Did I make a pun? I'm not sure if I actually made a pun. Okay, so everybody, what else do we actually need to do today? Well, the answer is we're not all that busy, in all honesty. We need to do the prep for the mac and cheese, which is going to be us making the cheese sauce. I'm going to be walking you through it. I'm going to be showing you how to make the most velvety and the most luxurious cheese sauce, my friends. And we'll be doing that with the power of some sodium citrate. So we'll go into a bit of a science lesson. We'll talk about like why we're using this component, sodium citrate. We'll make this beautiful, delicious cheese cheesy sauce. We'll cut up some scallions, we'll cut up some onions, we'll cut up some chilies for it, and it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be fantastic, and it's gonna be delicious. And as the mac and cheese bakes, that's when we'll finish the rest of the kimchi. We'll do the paste, we'll do the rest of the stuff that needs to go into it. You said the cabbage needs to be, oh, two dads kissing? I don't think I necessarily said that per se. Okay, so everybody, sodium citrate. If I did, it was accidental. I have some lovely, lovely sodium citrate here. So what is sodium citrate? Sodium citrate is essentially an emulsifying salt. So everybody, do you know how people, they talk about American cheese and they call it plastic cheese? They say, oh, it's plastic. It's complete nonsense. American cheese has a lot of culinary merit, and people do not give it enough credit. American cheese can be very velvety and can be very soft, and it melts beautifully. The reason American cheese melts so beautifully is because it has the power of an emulsifying salt. American cheese is a blended Monterey Jack and cheddar cheese, alongside some starches and preservatives and whatnot. But the real moneymaker, my friends, is the sodium citrate. Basically, here's what normally happens. When you have regular cheeses, cheddar, Parmesan, Gruyere, anything that you can think of, the fat separates from it. It gets stringy. It doesn't turn into a beautiful sauce, but it gets stringy. So some people, they do a bechamel. Some people, they melt it into milk. But guys, without using a bechamel, without needing to do any of that nonsense, we can just use sodium citrate in a little bit of water. And that way, the cheese actually becomes water soluble. The cheese can melt in the water itself without separating into the proteins and the fats. And I think that's really, really special. So sodium citrate gives us the consistency of something like Kraft mac and cheese, except we get to use whichever cheeses that we want. Specifically in my case today, I'm going to be using a mix of cheddar and mozzarella. Mozzarella is super popular in Korean food. Mozzarella, I feel like this is a thing that we see a lot with East Asian cuisine, which is over the last few decades, as they start to get more access to Western ingredients, things like milk and cheese, you start to see cheese all over the place. So really, really popular, right, is something like cheese with tteokbokki, which are the Korean rice cakes. So they would serve, the rice cakes with that. In Japan, you would find melted cheese on top of curries all the time now. So what am I trying to say? If this pairing seems like a little bit odd to you, to have so much cheese in Korean food, it's a very new thing, relatively speaking, but it's really, really permeated the culture, especially with like Korean hot dogs and Korean tteokbokki. Okay. So, for the mac and cheese itself, we're going to cut up some of the Chinese chive. We're going to be cutting up some of the scallions. We're going to be cutting up some of the chilies and the onions. We'll be mixing it in. We'll be making a sauce out of the gochujang. We'll be making a sauce out of the gochugaru as well. And it's going to be delicious. It's going to be phenomenal. So, let's go ahead and begin with the first step, which is, let's put the cheese into the freezer actually. So, let's talk about this really quickly. Everybody, I have a lovely block of mozzarella cheese. Now, mozzarella has a problem. Look at it. Look how squishy and look how soft it is. Mozzarella, the innate issue with mozzarella here is that the mozzarella is so soft that if we were to grate it, it would turn into mush. So in order to stop it from turning into mush, all that we're going to end up doing is sticking it into the freezer for about 30 minutes or so. Not so long that it turns into an ice block, but enough to cool it down. Also, Coda Anthony, welcome on in. It's lovely to have you. Hello, hello. Are Chinese chives like wild garlic but more oniony? John Dahlia, I'm pretty sure that Chinese chives and garlic chives are the same exact thing. You could Google that, but I'm pretty sure that I've seen them just be used interchangeably. So I hope that answers your question. Okay. Just have to check on something, everybody, really, really quickly. I do apologize. I'm having a bit of a serious conversation at the moment, and I just have to say, okay, let's talk later, please, and thank you. Okay, so let's see. In total today, I'm gonna need roughly, let's say about a pound of cheese. I'm gonna need about a pound of cheese. So we're gonna go ahead and open this up. This should be a 1 pound block of mozzarella. I'm just going to go ahead, take it, open it up, slice it in half, and then just stick the rest of it into the fridge. Okay, grab this bad boy for all of my purposes today, for all of my deeds, for all the different things that I have envisioned for it. This block of mozzarella, my friends, she is just gonna get wrapped up and put back into the fridge. And then this little guy is gonna go directly into the freezer with a little bit of plastic wrap to stop it from drying out. And everybody, do not freeze it for more than 30 minutes. The goal is not to get this to turn into an ice block of cheese. We just want it to be nice and cold so that it easily goes into the cheese grater. This is a really good piece of advice if you have goat cheese, if you have feta. Everybody, how many times have you tried to cut feta and the feta would just sort of smear and stick to everything around it? Okay, the best way to be able to avoid such a thing, just stick it into the freezer for about 20 to 30 minutes or so. Trust me, it goes a super long way. This goes in. The cheddar cheese is a little bit firmer, so we're not actually gonna have to do that with the cheddar, but only with the mozzarella, my friends. So the cheddar for today, I suppose that we could just get grating. Let's just get grating. Let's go ahead and do it. So how much cheddar do I have here? I have about exactly half a pound. So first thing that's gonna happen is we're gonna get ourselves a little cheese snack. And everybody, the beauty of sodium citrate is that you could quite literally use any combination of cheeses that you would like. You could use cheddar, you could use Monterey Jack, you could use pepper jack, you could use mozzarella. That is the beauty of a mac and cheese, and specifically the sodium citrate. The sodium citrate lets you use anything that you want. Okay, so my cheddar cheese is out. She's ready to go. I don't know if I actually want to use the whole block. That might be a little bit much. It's basically 1 pound of cheese to half a pound of pasta, which sounds like an insane ratio because it is. There is twice as much cheese as pasta going into this. I just want to make that like abundantly clear, okay? So, tying up my hair, let's go ahead and grab the cheese, everybody. And really, really important, I do need to set that timer for about 20 minutes. Just so that the mozzarella can get nice and firm and I don't forget about it. I'm gonna put on some gloves and everybody will just go ahead and grate it. So, really quickly, first of all, we never ever use pre-grated cheese. I know this is a thing that people have been saying for a while, but let me explain to you why. We don't use pre-shredded cheese. First of all, it's a lot more wasteful. It comes in more plastic. Second of all, it oftentimes has a little bit of anti-clumping filler in it. I believe it's cellulite. I keep mixing up cellulite and cellulose, which is almost like a wood pulp. And what that does, it stops the shredded cheese from clumping. But that also makes it more difficult for the cheese to melt. Everybody, please grate your own cheese. You can buy better cheese that way. Pre-shredded cheese sucks. Cellulose. Okay, thank you, Turina. I appreciate it. So, everybody, all that we're going to do, what I like to do, I don't like to stack it up vertically. I like to put it down horizontally like this. Because this way, I get to almost use it like a mandolin. Instead of having it stacked up vertically, right? Take a look. Look at the magic of this, my friends. Look at the magic here. Ready? Anytime that we're done with this amount of cheese, take a look, we can just dump it out. That is the beauty of this method, instead of doing this vertically, okay? So really, really highly recommend doing this. Although nothing bad will happen if you do stack it up vertically, it's just a little bit more annoying. So take it and grate it. Take it and grate it, my friends. Take it and grate it. Take it and grate it. Take it and grate it. And just keep going through all of it. Well, I'm glad to help out, Coda Anthony. In fact, I'm probably not being as efficient with this as I could be. I could just sort of stack it in there like this. This does have the most amount of surface area. And so this is going to give us the biggest shreds of cheese all at once. There you go. Everybody, whenever this cheese grater gets a little bit full, take a look. All that we have to do, just tap it out, tap it out, tap it out, tap it out. Nice and easy. So much easier. There is no mess. Okay? Just keep going. Keep grating, keep grating, keep grating until we're all done with the cheese, my friends. And again, the ratio that we're doing, 8 ounces of pasta to a pound of cheese. So 2-to-1 ratio. There is twice as much cheese as there is pasta. This thing is gonna be intense. It's gonna be fatty and it's gonna be rich. And guess what? That's okay. Food is allowed to be creamy. Food is allowed to be rich and calorie dense. This entire fear-mongering of, oh, this has so much butter in it. Everybody, I have a little piece of advice for you. If something is really calorie dense and you're worried about your caloric intake, You can just go with a little bit less. You don't always have to prioritize volume eating. This is a very big problem that I have with a lot of diet culture, especially American diet culture, where everything is supposed to be low calorie. You can eat a pound of this and it's only 200 calories. Everybody, it's okay to eat small but dense amounts of food. Dense food with a lot of calories in it in smaller amounts. You don't always have to be digesting a big mountain of low calories, something or the other. Okay, and generally speaking, fat is a little bit more lasting in its satiation, right? Eating a big pound of something that only has 150 calories in it versus a very small, dense amount of it, the latter actually has more satiation, okay? So everybody, ultimately, all that I'm trying to get at is this entire diet culture, this entire fear of food because it has fat in it, this fear of food because it's high in calories. It doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to compromise the taste of something for the sake of making it less caloric. This is a mac and cheese. We're allowed to live a little bit, okay? So many people, there's so much like normalized social shame around eating rich foods, right? Where it's like, oh, they use this much butter in a restaurant, and it just becomes a topic of discussion all the time. Guys, life is too short for that kind of thing, okay? There's no such thing as an unhealthy food. Butter and cheese are not unhealthy. All food is unhealthy in certain amounts, in certain proportions. There is no singular food that I will say, this is bad for you and do not eat it. Anything, and I do mean anything, is, it can all be okay in the right amounts. Cakes and sweets, as long as it is within moderation, my friends. So I really, really dislike this idea of foods to avoid because they're fatty or rich. So punish mage, the reason why I'm doing the biggest side, I'll explain to you. We can talk about the functions of all the different sides of a cheese grater. This side is typically for Parmesan exclusively. This is to get really, really ground Parmesan. This is typically like used as a mandolin side for vegetables. This is also used for like potatoes and stuff. This small side is if you want small shreds of cheese. The issue is we have such a big block of cheese and it's soft, so it melts easily, so we can do big chunks. If we did the little ones, this is going to basically take twice as much time, and if you grate it too thin, it actually clumps and sticks more. Okay, so by doing the big side, it doesn't clump and it doesn't stick nearly as much. Also, everybody, I've got to say, I do not hate grating cheese nearly as much now that I've started carrying a briefcase to work with me. Now that I've started carrying a briefcase, I'm doing this and I'm like, oh yeah, this is fine. This is great. In fact, my forearms have gotten so strong. Oh, it is such an amazing conversation starter. Anytime I'm with somebody and they're like, oh, that must be so heavy. And I'm like, yeah, you can go ahead and pick it up. And then they pick it up and they're like, what do you have in here? And I go, my kitchen knives and my music equipment. And then I show them and then they're like, that's so cool. Basically, what I'm trying to say is I love having a briefcase. Dara, your enthusiasm is nonstop. That's very cool. Thank you, Kodo Anthony. I appreciate it. Everybody, when I say that this is an aggressive amount of cheese, I'm saying that we have a pound of cheese for half a pound of pasta. Okay? So we don't mess around. We're taking this incredibly, incredibly seriously. Okay? So, getting the rest of my cheese off of my cutting board. And everybody, this cheese grater, honestly, I can just go ahead and set it aside for now because the mozzarella is still not ready yet. Again, we're cooling off the mozzarella so that we can really, really easily grate it. The mozzarella is normally a little bit too soft for such a task. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this behind me. The rest of this cheese I'll go ahead and put away, throw into the fridge. One day, everybody, I'm gonna stop using plastic wrap. Today is not that day. I would love to get to the point in the kitchen where I no longer buy paper towels, I no longer use plastic wrap. And so, with my new roommate, what I'm gonna be essentially doing is, we'll have like a whole towel system of kitchen towels, so to completely replace it. Also, welcome on in, official nomination. Hope you're having a beautiful day today. You don't know what gochujang is, but I like cheese. So, everybody, I'll give you another lesson on what gochujang is. Gochujang is one of the most important ingredients in all of Korean cooking. If you want to make Korean food, you need to have gochujang. Gochujang is a fermented Korean red pepper paste. You see it everywhere, in stews and soups and sauces. Everywhere has gochujang. The three staples of Korean food. I need to hear yes, chef. I need to hear yes, chef, right now, please and thank you. The three staples of Korean food that you need to have at home are gochujang, doenjang, and gochugaru. Daramgar is very similar to a miso paste. It's a fermented soybean paste. Gochujang is a fermented pepper paste. And gochugaru is pepper flakes. These three ingredients, they get used everywhere in Korean food. Chilies and soybeans are so important. Okay? So super spicy mac and cheese, that's right, official nomination. You got it, Mike. Okay. So, going ahead and getting all of my stuff into the trash bowl. Gochujang and soup is phenomenal. Oh, gochujang and soup is to die for, honestly. It's really, really amazing. Okay, so what else do we need to go ahead and do? Everybody, I want some scallions that get properly baked into the mac and cheese as well. Okay? This stream is very comforting. Well, actual stupid person, I'm glad that I'm able to help out a little bit. So, everybody, generally speaking, how'd you know it was you? Because Morgan is usually on, first of all, when you type, you sound like Mike. Second of all, Morgan has her own Twitch account, right? So I feel like my reasons are quite justified in being able to differentiate you two. You do type like the way you talk. Okay, everybody, while I didn't mention it as a Korean staple, you have to absolutely have scallions in Korean food. There is no such thing as Korean food without the scallions. This is not a game. This is not a joke. This is not a drill. You need to have scallions in Korean food. It is used genuinely all over the place. And so, you can never have too many scallions. I love scallions. I love scallions to death. They're so aromatic. They're so pungent. I love how sweet they are. Okay? And so we are going to be loading up on the scallions today, my friends. So, here's all of my scallion whites. To keep them nice and fresh, always, container with a paper towel on it. Okay? And the scallions inside of the mac and cheese, it's going to do a really good job of sort of cutting through all the richness. It's going to be spicy. It's going to be heavy. It's going to be really, really cheesy. And so, let's go ahead and get some scallions in there. There is no way that the scallions would be bad in this, right? So, let's cut off all of the root ends. You could use this for a chicken stock or something if you would like. Scallions are peak indeed. I love scallions. And everybody, we're not adding the greens. The greens will be used as a garnish. We'll just be cooking the scallion whites. Okay, so keep in mind, scallions shrink a lot when they cook. So, in order to get a nice big chunk of scallion in there, we're going to cut it on a nice bias, my friends. On a bias, on an angle, on an angle, on an angle, just like so. So we get some nice, beautiful chunks of scallions. I love scallions, and I love them to death. I struggle to use gochugaru outside of specific dishes because it's so astringent. Yeah, gochugaru, well, gochugaru, the pepper flake, I find that gochugaru, the pepper flake, actually is maybe the easiest to use in other places. It's very aromatic, it's very fruity, I find, so actually, I don't think I can necessarily relate with your perspective. Do you mean to say gochujang? Because I find that gochujang is the one that's a little bit more difficult to use. Okay, so everybody, nice, big, hefty chunks of scallions here. That's what I was going for. Okay? Oh, and we are going to be allium maxing today, my friends. We are going to be aggressively allium forward. I mean Chinese chive, plus scallions, plus red onion as well, just because we have some. Okay? I love alliums. I love them to death. I find them so delicious. So, let's go ahead and get my scallions onto my plate. And this is all just going to get mixed in, and it's going to bake with the mac and cheese. Scallions, they don't need any additional cook time or anything, right? They'll just, you don't even really want them too cooked because then they lose all of their texture, they lose all of their sweetness. We don't want the scallions to completely disappear, and so we're doing some nice big chunks. Okay, everybody, I have here 1 serrano chili. This is not the kind of chili that is often used in Korean cooking, but this is the chili that I have access to. Why do I want the serrano chili? Because I want this thing spicy. Okay, we are doing gochujang, gochugaru, and the serrano chili inside of there as well, and some really nice thin little slices. So, I'm going to go ahead and put on some gloves for this. We're going to put on some gloves and get that done. Also, just a Fenrir, welcome on in. It is lovely to have you. I hope you're having a beautiful day today. So, in regards to the chili itself, in regards to the serrano, my friends, I'm going to do a really nice, simple, thin slice on this because I don't want a massive chunk of serrano. I just want to be able to taste this and everything else. So, take it, go in there, seeds and all. Everybody, I'm going to give my poor white stomach some problems. That is what's going to happen. It's going to be really tragic. It's going to be really unfortunate. Okay, but I love spicy food too much. I love spicy food too much to not want to be just absolutely like 110% with it at all times. It's worth the risk, absolutely. And also, again, everybody, these nice little things of vegetables, people like sort of, you know, they like to make fun of vegetables in a mac and cheese, but these are chilies and scallions. Okay, we're not putting carrots in a mac and cheese. We're not doing like actual vegetables. These are all really, really flavorful veggies. Okay, so it's gonna come out delicious. They're just going to make the whole thing so much fresher. You know, biting into that chili, biting into that scallion, biting into the Chinese chive. It's really, really gonna make it all special. Okay, so that is good for my chili. That is my scallion. And everybody, last but not least, let's go ahead and get a nice big bundle of Chinese chive. And this is an ingredient, this is a component that I absolutely love. Okay, let's get a nice big bundle of that. And this is the kind of a thing, guys, this thing cooks and it basically immediately disappears after you cook it for a little bit. This is Chinese chive. This is an ingredient that I'm quite new to using. But honestly, everybody, it doesn't just have to be limited to Chinese or Korean food. This can be used all over the place. I love it really, really quickly and sauteed. It's amazing with some eggs. This is used in dumpling filling. I love Chinese chives. So this looks like a lot. It looks like a lot of Chinese chive. But again, everybody, it's all just going to go ahead and get in there. It's all going to shrink down. Okay? So, really, really heavily recommend it. Let's go ahead and just stack this bad boy up. Stack it up as evenly as we can. And everybody, we just don't need massive, like, long chunks or anything. Right? So we just need to just process it down a little bit. Again, it's all going to cook through. It's all going to end up baking. It's all going to end up shrinking. I soaked it in some water. I put it through my salad spinner. Okay? So just take it and roughly dice it up like this. Ooh, everybody, I have to say right now, this plate smells pretty phenomenal. The Chinese chive, the scallions, all of it together, really, really beautiful stuff. Although now I'm looking at this and I'm looking at the sheer amount of onions I have going into this, I kind of don't want to do the red onion now. I originally wanted to use up the red onion, but everybody, we already have so many scallions. We already have so much Chinese chive that I'm thinking about the red onion in there and I'm going, maybe that's a little bit much. I don't really know if I necessarily even want red onions in the kimchi either. So maybe we just stop. Maybe we just call it here, I think. And then I'll use the red onion actually for something else another time. Every time I'm with this red onion, guys, I'm telling you, each time I'm like, I don't know what to do with this thing. Okay, I'll put the red onion back into the fridge from where it came. And so, everybody, these are going to be all the vegetables for the mac and cheese today, okay? Again, this is my own Korean-inspired mac and cheese. It's going to have gochujang. It's going to have some gochugaru in it. It's going to be lovely. It's going to be so delicious. And so we're breaking some conventions. This is not your traditional southern mac and cheese. It's going to be velvety. It's going to be amazing. And you're all going to absolutely love it. So, here's all my chive. Here's all of my scallion that I need for this specific implementation today. What else do we actually need to prep? Well, I'm waiting on the mozzarella. It's going to be a couple more minutes. We'll pull that out and also shred it. Which onions do you like most? Red, green, yellow, or white? I'm going to say that I love just Vidalia onions. Nothing has the sweetness of a Vidalia onion, Fenrir. Vidalia onions, they're so big, they're so round, they're so sweet. Otherwise, I love red onions. But also, here's the thing that you just asked me, red, green, yellow, or white. There's so many more alliums in that. Scallions, I don't really think of them as a green onion. I think of them more as like a garnish, typically speaking. Oh, I think I just have to say scallions though. If we're talking about all alliums, I don't think you can beat scallions. Or, you know how sometimes you get like tacos, you get like Mexican food, and you get like the really like small onions, but they sprout up like a scallion? They're like thicker than a scallion, but thinner than an onion. Those are the kinds that I really love. I forgot what they're called. They might be called grilling onions. I see them sometimes sold as that, but I love those with my tacos. I love them when they're grilled. As a shallot and onion, technically, it's an allium to Dad's kissing. So alliums would be leeks, shallots, onions, scallions, those kinds of grilling onions. Am I a fan of America's Test Kitchen? Coda, I used to be a bigger fan of America's Test Kitchen, but some of the equipment reviews I strongly disagree with, and I think some of the recipes are straight up just impractical in a home setting. Okay? So not aluminum, allium. Okay, so I'm actually gonna go ahead and get my pot of water boiling and ready to go for the pasta today. Just get that all cranked up. We'll boil the pasta, my friends. We'll get that going. We'll get that tossed in a little bit of fat. And then we'll add that into the cheese, and then we'll go ahead and make the cheese sauce. No protein today. John Dahlia, there is no protein today, aside from the fact that we've had, you know, a pound of cheese. That is the only thing. So basically, scallions and shallots and onions, all of it is like the same greater family, and they all just have slightly different pungency. They have slightly different aromatic qualities, different shapes and different colors as well. But at the end of the day, most of them are interchangeable. You just have to keep in mind how sweet one is, because sometimes if they're too sweet, you can't really saute it without it burning. Okay, so I got about 3 more minutes on my mozzarella. Everybody, I think my mozzarella should be firm enough for us to now properly grate all the way through. So let's go ahead and get that done now. Take my mozzarella out of the fridge. Right? Again, why do we do this? Why do we put this into the freezer? Because otherwise, my friends, mozzarella is too soft. Mozzarella is so soft that what ends up happening is instead of beautifully grated mozzarella, it's just going to mush. So I give the same exact advice, especially for feta and for goat cheese. It goes a really long way. Do not sleep on this as a step at all. Okay? So, oh, I keep saying ilium because I'm saying allium. That's clever, Tarina. Everybody, mozzarella, take it, and now we can properly and beautifully shred this thing up. I could have probably froze it for a little bit longer. Could be worse, but when's the last time anyone's thought about bon appetit? Oh, death owl. Bon appetit, it was always like, before like they had like the whole like racism, like workplace allegations and stuff, I was never particularly crazy about their content. It's very produced. It's very manufactured. It's not content done with a lot of integrity. It's just very like industry. It's very industry in the same way that like, you know, cooking channels on the TV, like the Food Network is industry. And so I was never crazy about it. Let's get that mozzarella in there, my friends. Okay. But yeah, bon appetit. Oh gosh, and then so many people like stayed in the workplace. They prioritized. There are so many people that stayed within Bon Appetit, kept taking the very funny New York 6-figure big company tech salary, right? They stayed within the company after all of the allegations because it was more inconvenient for them not to do so. So many of the people at that company, they don't have a lot of integrity. They just don't. They just do not. But there's a couple of people from Bon Appetit that I think did really good stuff. Whoever the pastry girl is, the one that did a lot of pastry stuff, she was very special. Also, 610 Vo, welcome on in. It's lovely to have you. I'm using mozzarella and cheddar. If you'd like a full list of the ingredients, you can always type in !menu. Claire, right. I thought Claire's stuff was always pretty good. That timer would have been for the mozzarella, but we're already grating it. Everybody, as you can see, the mozzarella is kind of clumping up like this. Again, this is a full moisture mozzarella. This isn't a low moisture mozzarella. Okay, so it tends to be a little bit wetter. It tends to be a little bit softer. Would fresh garlic go good in a baked mac and cheese? Oh, absolutely it will be. Okay. Why am I just now seeing a cheese grater used like this? This is not a popular technique. It's not a popular method, but it's one that I love teaching to people. So instead of really grating it, I'm more just like pushing it through. I should have probably froze this a little bit longer. But even then, it's all going to come out okay, my friends. It's all going to come out okay. It's all going to come out perfect. And I think I might even save some of the cheese just to mix in instead of it all just going directly to the sauce. I love mozzarella. Okay. Almost done, everybody. Almost done just processing up this mozzarella. Takes a second. Okay, and it's okay, by the way, if the cheese sauce doesn't come out like 110% smooth or anything. It'll be perfect. That I can promise you. Chef, when you eat at places like that Korean pop-up restaurant, do you ever have a conversation with someone asking about their cuisine, or is the eating experience to find your own conclusions? So, Moonha, that's a very good question. It depends on the kind of a place that I can go to. So when I went to 11 Madison Park, for instance, which is, you know, world-renowned 3 Michelin star restaurant, not as good as it used to be, but 3 Michelin star restaurant, there I was able to chat with like some of the chefs because I specifically asked for it. I chatted with the waiters about the food, I did all of that. It really depends on the integrity of a restaurant. Why isn't it a popular technique, Shai Chica? I don't know, it just never caught on. People just don't talk about it enough, I think, is the only thing. You have a technical question about a recipe of yours. Coda Anthony, you can absolutely ask that right now. You can just go ahead and ask me as is. So what's up? I meant enough to find your own conclusions, but you understood it. So yeah, it really depends on the kind of restaurant I'm in. It's difficult in like normal sized restaurant settings where the waiters and waitresses are just people that got kind of trained, right? But if it's like a very, very small restaurant, there's this lovely Japanese restaurant that I loved, Kokogan Market. It was a super, super small Japanese restaurant. They had some amazing food, and I got to talk with like the guy because he was both the waiter and like the chef, and he was running back and forth. So my answer is I'd only chat with them if it's like a small enough place to do so. Everybody, really quickly, as always, the best time to clean something like a cheese grater is just after you use it. Do not wait until all of that cheese dries out. Do not do it. I do not care how lazy you are. I don't care that you have things to do. If you let that cheese dry now, you will never ever get it off. So clean it before it dries. I need to hear yes, chef, please and thank you. Clean it now or forever hold your peace. Okay, let's go take a look. I think I got most of it out from the inside, and I'll throw that into my dishwasher. Rinse it off, throw it into your dishwasher. As always, empty sink, empty dishwasher whenever we cook at home. Always, always, always. Okay? So. Okay, chef? No. I'm sorry, there is no okay chefs. Only yes chefs. So, Coda Anthony, you said, I made a sauce with cheese, onion, mustard, caraway, and egg yolk. I wanted to put it on macaroni, but the starch fizzles the flavor. Is there any way to fix that? Yes, Coda Anthony. The answer is intensely seasoning your sauce. What you need to consider, first of all, when you say the starch fizzles the flavor, maybe your pasta is not seasoned enough. I think you should salt the pasta water. Second of all, Coda Anthony, if your pasta, let's say we're using arbitrary figures, 100% is perfectly seasoned. If your sauce is 100% seasoned and your pasta is 0% seasoned, your dish will only be 50%. So you can compensate for it by having 150% seasoned sauce or something. Right? So by heavily over seasoning it, it's going to make up for the bland component. Does that answer your question, Coda? So the answer is you have to intentionally overshoot it. Okay, I'm gonna take a second just to clean up my station, get all the cheese off of my cutting board, get it out of there. Can't wait to try it. Well, I'm happy that I was able to help out, Coda. Okay, just got a couple of bits of scrap, got a couple of things just sort of laying around everybody, so please be patient with me. And then we'll go through the rest of the prep that you and I, that's us, hi, that we need to go ahead and collectively get done together. Okay. There we go. Lovely. I'm going to go ahead and quickly wash off my knife as well at the moment, just because we have a second of time. And everybody will also go ahead and check on the cabbage for today. We'll check on the cabbage, see how that's doing. We'll do the rest of the ingredients for the kimchi today while the pasta is baking. And then I think we'll be all set. So rinsing off my knife, getting all that cheese off of it. Because we're not cheesing it, my friends. We don't need any more cheese on that thing. We have an entire pound of cheese for 8 ounces of pasta. Okay? This is supposed to be rich. It's supposed to be caloric. It's supposed to be intense, everybody. Do not fear these kinds of things. Okay? It is okay for food to be dense. It is okay for food to be high calorie. Okay? That is all right. It'll all work out okay. I promise you that. So, I'm gonna wipe off my knife. We have to work on the garlic. We have to work on the pasta as well, my friends. So let's actually have a little discussion about the different kinds of pasta that you would ideally want to use for a mac and cheese, okay? So, everybody, and this might all be a little bit obvious to some of you, but for those of you that it's not, I'm here to help. This is some lovely gemelli. I love gemelli. Gemelli is starting to become a little bit more popular. Okay, it's going to be a lot more fun, but I love gemelli. And so gemelli, what it has is, it's this big old squiggly pasta and has all of these lovely grooves that catch onto the sauce well. The most important thing is that you want a small to medium-sized pasta. Small shells or medium shells, you can do gemelli, you can do elbows, you can do cavatappi, you can do orecchiette. Okay, I wouldn't do fettuccine, I wouldn't do long pasta, I also wouldn't do the really, really tiny pasta like pastina and orzo and whatnot. So you want something with a little bit of length to it, but not so long. Okay, so I love gemelli. Gemelli is super, super fun. Gemelli is such a fun texture just to, you can really, really slurp it up. Okay, everybody, this is going to be baking for, I want to say somewhere closer to like 40 minutes or so. 40 minutes of baking in total. That means that if we were to cook this to perfect al dente, by the time it bakes, it'll soak up some of the moisture in the cheese sauce and become a little too mushy. We're not looking for like, oh, really authentic Italian al dente on this, but I do want a little bit of texture. So the texture that we're really going for on this is somewhere just before an al dente, a minute or two before an al dente. You want it to have a little too much bite to it. What about tortellini? Moonhub, you just said, can we do a cheese pasta and do more cheese around it? The answer is yes, but you would be insane for it. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and put the gemelli back behind me. And everybody, let's go inspect my lovely cabbage, give it a bit of a massage and move it around. As you can see, the cabbage now has started to look almost sweaty. Okay, that is all of the liquid being pulled out of the cabbage and the carrots. It has softened significantly, right? And if we were to go ahead and taste it, it's a salty cabbage, okay? But that's exactly what we're going for. The only thing I'm gonna do though, is I'm just gonna agitate it. Make sure that every side is exposed to that salty liquid, my friends. And that is how we are going to obtain the perfect kimchi for today. You can see the amount of liquid that is coming out of here. All of this, my friends, is liquid that would have otherwise made your kimchi too salty. It would have made it too salty and would have made it too bland. All of the spices, all the seasonings. Okay, so just get it in there, squeeze it around. Usually I agitate cabbage by calling it names. I guess that works too. And all of the cabbage is getting nice and soft, right? So salting it, even for a fresh kimchi, not a fermented one, really, really important. Okay, so here you go. The carrots, the kimchi, it's gonna be lovely. It's gonna be really, really delicious. Okay, just gonna be something really, really nice and fresh to eat alongside the mac and cheese. Okay, I'll just continue to put that behind me. And everybody, my water seems to now be aggressively boiling. So you know what that means. We are gonna be going ahead and getting my pasta inside of that pot. So to the stove that we go. Okay, everybody, first consideration that you need to make, your salt. So really, really important concept here that I'm gonna talk about. The salt that you put into the pasta water, I'm going to tell you right now that maybe at absolute most, maybe like 2% of it actually ends up penetrating the pasta. You have to heavily over season the water just so that the pasta has a chance to pick any of it up. Okay, so it's aggressively, and I mean aggressively boiling. We're gonna get in there with a bunch of salt. Also, there's this whole misconception about, oh, only salt the pasta water in the beginning or the end. It doesn't actually matter. You can salt it whenever you want, as long as it's before the pasta goes in. And when I say a lot of salt, I mean like 2 fistfuls of salt, my friends. Okay, that salt, it needs to be the water, excuse me, has to be too salty. It has to seem unpleasantly salty, just so that your pasta has a chance to get seasoned. Otherwise, the sauce will be seasoned, but the pasta will be bland. And chat, we don't want a bland pasta, do we? I want to hear a nice no, chef. Also, Grimpy Coffee, welcome on in. It is lovely to have you. Hello to you as well. Okay, so water has been officially salted, and I'm doing about 8 ounces or so of this box today. And so I'm seeing where the line is. I'm seeing what half a box of this would even end up being. So if that's the case, then half the box should be right around here. Okay, so let's get that all inside, my friends. Let's get it inside. Half a pound for today. Oh, that was almost the entire pound of pasta. Well, who cares? We messed up a little bit. That's okay. Everybody, half a pound, half a box of pasta. And make sure that you mix it. Everybody, next rule about cooking pasta. You will absolutely get stickage if you don't mix it. The first few minutes of the pasta cooking stage is where it needs the most agitation. Of course, we don't do any of this outdated nonsense of putting oil into the water. That has been proven time and time again to be nonsense. But all that you need to do is just agitate it for the first few minutes and then keep it going. Keep it boiling, my friends. Keep it boiling, keep it going, nice and easy. Okay, yeah, so that's boiling, that's bubbling away. I gotta get one thing out of the sink though, that is just in there at the moment and taking up some space. And so I'll get that out of my lovely sink, just so that I can go ahead and set up my colander for whenever we need it, because we'll be straining out all of that pasta water, of course, as it comes out. Okay, so just making sure that I have the space in there, make sure that I have the space in the sink for that. Everybody come back to the pasta. Once again, make sure none of these lovely little gemelli are sticking to each other. And we can go ahead and continue with the rest of the prep that we need for today. The next thing that I'm gonna need, everybody, is gonna be a bunch of lovely, beautiful garlic, because you can't have Korean food without garlic, can you? So let's go ahead and get some garlic out. Because guys, I want this pasta to be seasoned. I want it to be delicious. I want it to be flavorful, and I want it to be aromatic. Okay, I do not want a bland mac and cheese at all. So, in order to go ahead and achieve that, we're going to go ahead and make sure that there is plenty, and I do mean plenty of garlic, my friends. And I mean somewhere in the realm of, oh, I don't know, 4 cloves of garlic. You can never have too much garlic. Okay, so everybody, first thing that we gotta do, we gotta peel the skins off of the garlic, right? Nice and easy. Separate the cloves and smash it down. 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 Separate the cloves and smash it. One last smash, my friends. There we go. And by smashing it this way, what we have ended up achieving is a bunch of garlic that just peels off so easily. It is begging to be peeled. Well, some of them more so than others. You can sometimes just tap it out if you did it properly. The smashing never bends the bench scraper? Well, Moonha, it might. And guess what? If it accidentally bends it, it's okay, because it is just a bench scraper. It is a cheap piece of metal that is meant to be abused. It is meant to be hit. It is meant to be, you know, it is meant to deal with a lot of nonsense. And this is the kind of a thing that, hey, if it breaks, you replace it, you know? So, does it bend the bench scraper? Yeah, maybe a little bit. But this tool is meant to work for you. The knives you have to take care of. Knives and your butcher block, everybody, those are tools that you want to baby. Things like your aluminum sheet trays and your bench scraper, absolutely give it hell. Show it who's boss. Okay, so all of the skins off of my garlic cloves. Let's go ahead and just take off the little butts off of them. And the reason why I don't like smashing with my knife, you can easily cut yourself, and it's because I want to baby my knife. I have really nice knives. I don't want to mistreat them. I don't want to give them force in ways that they can't handle. So when I said a bunch of garlic, I do mean a bunch of garlic. I'm going to go back into the pasta, give it another stir just to ensure that nothing could be possibly sticking to each other. Okay, it's a really, really thick pasta. It's really like twisted on itself. So don't worry too much about overcooking it, I want to say. Okay, and everybody, we're going to go ahead and get one of my favorite kitchen tools, the garlic press. If you don't own a garlic press, you're making a mistake. Also, everybody, really quickly, if you haven't done so, please check out my Patreon. The Patreon is the best way to directly financially support the cooking show. You can type in exclamation Patreon, or just go into the About section below. Because my goal is to be able to do this full time one day. Guys, I'm going to have a lot of moving costs coming up soon. All right. I'm going to be moving literally next week if all goes well with the lease signing tomorrow. I'm really nervous about it. Guys, that place that we got is so beautiful. And maybe I'll be able to show you my new roommate, Vixen, on stream a couple of times. Vixen's a very lovely friend of mine. And maybe she'll just pop in to try something and tell us how delicious something tastes. So once I'm actually moved out, my friends, at some point or another in the future, I'm planning to have some guests. So remember, everybody, after this Wednesday stream, we're going on a hiatus. I have a work trip for a commentary gig, and then afterwards, I'm going to be moving. So this stream and Wednesday will be the last two for a while. Join the Discord community. I know there's a lot of people here who aren't gamers. There's a lot of people here who actually aren't on the internet too much. Discord is just a really, really nice like community. Right, we have like a lovely like group of fans there, and then you can go ahead and interact with everybody else. So you can type in exclamation mark Discord. You can just sign up and make a quick little account. I believe you have to verify your phone number and join it. I'm trying to make it into a nice little space. I'm trying to make it into a space where people can interact with each other. Yes, I will be moving. I'll be moving into my own place. I currently live with my mom, and so I'm ready to be able to move out. Okay, everybody, all of that garlic got nicely and properly pressed. Just quickly rinsing off my hands because it all got a little bit sticky. Okay, and let's go ahead and see how the gemelli is doing. Let's see how the gemelli is doing because, everybody, once again, we do not want this to become too mushy. We want this just before al dente. It's been going for a good few minutes. Let's go ahead and pick up a few of the strands. And the best way to tell if pasta is done is to taste it. Don't use times. Everybody, anybody that tells you, oh, boil it and do 10 minutes. Nonsense. The best way to tell is with the power of taste. Just taste it. Just taste it, I promise you. That is going to be the best measure for this kind of a thing. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and quickly rinse off my garlic press. Everybody, same exact idea as cleaning a blender and a cheese grater. The best time to do it was yesterday. Clean it now, and you will not suffer later. Clean now. Clean it now. Clean it now. Get it done. Get it out of here. Get it out of sight and out of mind. Okay. Out she goes. Lovely. Okay, but yes, so hope you're all doing well. Everybody, we just pressed and grated the garlic for today. After the pasta is done boiling, we're going to be making the cheese sauce. We'll be putting it into the oven and we'll be letting it all bake. We'll be letting all of it come together beautifully. Okay, so at the moment, I'm just still quickly cleaning up my cutting board. Cleaning it up ever so slightly, getting a couple of things off of it. We've shredded the cheese. We cut up the vegetables for today. We've salted the cabbage for the fresh kimchi. Not a fermented kimchi, but a fresh kimchi. Let's give this thing another taste. Let's see how it's going. Again, everybody, we want it to be just before al dente. We don't want it to be a full al dente. Because if it's a full al dente, by the time that it bakes in the oven, it's going to be overcooked. Perfect. That's it. Stop. Colander into the sink. And everybody, I will now be going ahead and dumping this out into the sink. We don't have a sink camera yet. One day in the future, by the end of this year, I promise you, we will get a sink camera. Okay, so all of this lovely gemelli, take it and dump it out. Dump it out, all into my lovely colander. And normally, I would never tell you to rinse it with cold water. Okay, but the reason we rinse it with cold water is to stop it from cooking because it's still in there and it's still actively steaming, my friends. So run that cold water over it to stop it from cooking, and then we add in a little splash of oil to stop it from sticking to each other. And then it'll be perfect to get mixed in with the cheese sauce. Okay, so stop it from cooking, hit it with a bunch of cold water, get it in there. It's going to cause the starch to seize up a little bit. That's okay. It's going to begin sticking ever so slightly, and then the only thing that it's going to need is just a little bit of fat to help keep it all nice and separated. Just like, I'm sure, somebody's parents do. All right? So get it nice and rinsed off. Get it nice and rinsed off. Get all of that pasta nice and cooled down, my friends, because, again, we don't want it to sit there and continue steaming. Rinse it off. Rinse it off. We're basically shocking the pasta. Right? Still nice and firm, but once baked with the sauce, it'll be delicious. And especially when you do hit it with the cold water, my friends, that does make it a little bit firmer than it is. Okay? So Moonha, you said peanut oil. The answer is theoretically you could use any kind of oil that you want here. You could do some butter in there if you would like. In my case though, I think a neutral oil would be good. Just because the butter might be like a little bit much. So yeah, we could probably just do some peanut oil in there. Just a little bit of oil, my friends, just enough to get it to stop from sticking to each other, okay? It's going to be a little bit wasteful. It's going to come out of the colander, but that's totally okay. And again, just barely enough oil just to be able to coat everything, okay? This dish is going to have plenty of fat in the form of the cheese. The oil purely exists to stop everything from sticking to each other. So I'm going to go ahead and mix around the oil with the pasta. So let me just get that done really quickly, and then we'll go back to everything else we need to do today, my friends. Okay. Yep, and I mean just like the world's tiniest splash, just enough to get it to stop sticking. Okay, everybody, so what have we accomplished? We cut up the scallions, the chives, as well as the garlic and the chilies. That's all going to go inside of the baked mac and cheese itself. We've shredded up the mozzarella and cheddar. We've grated up the garlic as well. The last thing is we have to measure out some gochujang and some gochugaru. Okay, so everybody, gochujang, honestly, less is more with this kind of a thing. We're not going to need like a crazy amount. I think at most I'm going to be doing like a tablespoon for today. Okay, so peel it back and make sure that you don't peel off the whole thing because you want to keep that plastic on there so it keeps it nice and protected from drying out too much in the fridge. And guys, gochujang lasts so long in the fridge. The beauty of this as a pantry staple is it basically does not go bad, really similarly to miso. It might lose flavor, but it won't spoil, right? Because bacteria, typically speaking, they don't like capsaicin all that much. Oh, there we go. I realized that I could probably just pop the whole thing out like that. Come on, get it in there. But yeah, everybody, this is fundamental to Korean cooking. This is fundamental to Korean food. You cannot have Korean food without some gochujang, okay? And so I just am replenishing my last stock. I had a little bit from last time. We used it a couple of months ago, the last time that we made Korean food. And so this is all of my leftover gochujang. And so everybody, I'm going to go ahead and get a nice big scoop of that into a little bowl. All that we really need for today is 1 tablespoon. 1 tablespoon, and then we can go ahead and adjust the amount of gochujang that we have. So gochujang goes in. 1 nice little spoon just like so. That is going to be more than enough for my purposes today, my friends. It's intense, it's spicy, it's hot, and it has this amazing, incredible flavor to it, okay? If you've ever smelled gochujang, you will immediately know how often it is used in Korean cooking. You'll be like, oh yeah, okay, this is the smell. This is the thing that I can't recognize, okay? And everybody, we're going to go ahead and get some gochugaru. So it might seem a little bit redundant to use both the flakes and the paste, but the reality is the flakes, they don't tend to actually be as spicy. They tend to be a little bit more fruity. They tend to be a little bit more aromatic rather than anything else, okay? So we're gonna do 1 thing of the fermented paste, and then also similarly a tablespoon or 2 of the gochugaru, my friends. So in it goes, and we don't even have to really worry about mixing it around. We'll just be adding this into the pot of the pasta once it's done, and then let it bake. Or rather, it'll go directly into the cheese sauce. We'll mix it into the cheese sauce, and it'll be perfect. And everybody, if we have too much, well, we're kind of screwed at that point. So always undershoot with these things. Always undershoot them, because you don't know how much you're going to need. We do a little bit less, and then we can always add in more gochujang, and we can always add more gochugaru. The gochujang and the gochugaru, they don't need to fry. They don't need to infuse. We can just add them directly into the cheese sauce itself. A nice little sip of water. I've been going a little bit too fast, so take a second to slow down. So everybody, here is all of my components for the mac and cheese. Here's my gochujang and my gochugaru, my garlic, my scallions, my Chinese chive, my green chilies, and then a bunch of mozzarella and cheddar. And so everybody, we will now be building the cheese sauce. Okay, everybody, I have a question. What happens if you try to normally melt some cheese in, let's say, boiling water? Does anybody knows what happens? I want to hear a nice me chef if you do. Please and thank you. Okay? Because I'm just curious. Curdling, it gets greeny. That's right. Guys, cheese is not normally water soluble. It separates into its proteins and it separates into different fats. Okay, normally when you try to melt most kinds of cheeses by themselves, they do not melt like American cheese. So the real magic, guys, the magical component is sodium citrate. Normally in a classical mac and cheese, you need to make a bechamel, which is a starch thickened milk sauce. A bechamel is a fancy word for white sauce, flour, butter, milk. The milk and the starch help to stabilize the cheese itself. But guys, we have science, we have the future. We don't have to make an entire milk sauce. We don't have to make a cream sauce. We don't have to do a roux. We don't have to do anything like that. We don't have to even worry about milk. We just need water because I want the full flavor of the cheese and sodium citrate. This is the magical component. This is the thing that is the glue that holds together your mac and cheese, my friends. This is it. This is it right here, okay? And so we're going to be doing it alongside a cup and a half of water or so. I think for this amount of pasta, we'll do like a cup of water. We'll be heating it up, getting it simmering, and then we'll whisk in and melt in that cheese, my friends, and it will be lovely. In the meantime, though, I do want to preheat my oven for the baked mac and cheese. So I never got rid of my pan from last time. Everybody, I believe, let's say somewhere around the realm of 420 degrees or so is going to be perfect. And I just have to quickly put something away. So please forgive me. 420 degrees. Bake. Start that now. Get that going, and everybody, we will begin making the sauce. So, as for the actual texture and the viscosity that you're looking for today, I'm gonna maybe do like 1.25 cups of water for a pound of cheese. So we don't use the milk directly, correct, Sayada. We can do this purely with water and sodium citrate. Can you substitute the water with milk for the sauce? You could theoretically, Two Dads Kissing. I'm pretty sure that you can. For this ratio, it should work with the sodium citrate, absolutely. Okay, so really quickly, I'm gonna go ahead and grab a measuring cup. I somehow still don't own a liquid measuring cup. It's crazy that I can have things like a Vitamix and then I don't have like what I would consider really basic kitchen essentials sometimes. I'm gonna do about 1.25 cups of water directly inside of my sauce pot, inside of my saucepan. That's where we will be building the sauce for today. And so everybody, this is gonna be the real magic of today, okay? I want you to look at the sheer amount of liquid. This entire pound of cheese is going to completely melt into that little tiny amount of liquid, and I'm going to prove to you that that is possible, okay? Milk is interesting because there's fats and proteins in water, but not necessarily with the sodium citrate IMO. Yeah, it's not necessary. It'll just be additional flavor that I don't know if that's necessarily welcome. And so everybody, the sodium citrate, I don't honestly believe that you can overdo it with it. Generally speaking, the ratio for a cheese sauce like this is gonna be 1 cup of water, and then per cup of water, it's like 3/4 teaspoon of sodium citrate or so. Okay, so in my case, because we got like 1.5 cups of water, we're gonna do like 2 teaspoons of sodium citrate and call it. So, in it goes. Let's get 1 teaspoon, or excuse me, is that a tablespoon? Did I pick out a tablespoon and not a teaspoon? That's fine, a tablespoon is just 3 teaspoons, I believe. So we can just do most of that. Okay, and I think that'll be good. Does it have a taste? It does. It has a slightly acidic taste to it, given the sodium citrate, right? It has the word citra in it. So it does have a slight taste to it, but normally it's not anything that you should be able to notice. Okay, everybody, the only thing that we really need to do is we just need to get this bad boy dissolved. We gotta get that dissolved. We gotta get it nice and melted into the water itself. And we will be using a nice little whisk for it today. We could use a silicone tipped whisk, but because of the fact that we're working in a stainless steel saucepan, we will be mostly okay to use this. Depending on who you ask, this is still considered somewhat bad form. It would still be optimal to use a silicone whisk. I just can't find it. The only rule is if your pot is non-stick, everybody, if it is non-stick, do not under any circumstance use metal tools. You have to use a silicone tipped whisk. This is not a non-stick pot. This is just a plain old stainless steel pot, and so I can get away with using this. But even then, you can hear that scratching noise. It's not the most ideal thing in the world. It is going to scratch the bottom of your pan, but this is a kitchen tool and it's meant to be used up a little bit. But as long as it's not a ceramic pan, it's not non-stick, you can absolutely use metal tools on it. Okay. So, all we're waiting to do right now is just to get it nice and bubbling. We got to get it nice and simmering, my friends. And then once it's simmering, we'll be going ahead and adding in the cheese and making the sauce for today. Once the sauce is made, we add in the vegetables, we add in the pasta, we mix it all up, we put it into a little dish, and then we go ahead and bake it. So just waiting for this to get nice and melted, waiting for all of this good stuff, my friends, just to get nice and bubbling away. And we will build a really beautiful, really special cheese sauce. I am seeing if I have my silicone whisk anywhere, and the answer is I have no idea where it could have possibly gone. I have no idea where it is at all. Okay, so does anybody have any questions for me? It can be about this dish, it can be about something else. All that we're doing now is just building up this cheese sauce. The sodium citrate is in there, and then once the cheese sauce is made, we add in the gochujang, we add in the gochugaru, we add in the garlic, we add in all of those lovely little vegetables, we add in the pasta, mix it up, put it onto a dish, top it up with some breadcrumbs, and let it all bake. So, really simple, really easy. Anybody can do this kind of thing, okay? And I'm just mixing up my pasta just to make sure it's nice and coated with that oil, and it seems to be going well. Just some plain old boiled pasta, my friends. Nothing wrong with that at all. Okay, so get that thing simmering, get that thing bubbling away for today. Yeah, all the sodium citrate is nice and dissolved. And so everybody, the key to this is purely just going to be adding in little tiny clumps of food, little handfuls of food, okay? Little handfuls of cheese at a time. We never really want to add too much at once because otherwise it'll be impossible for us to whisk it. This is the kind of a thing where you have to trust the process. Trust me, trust the process. It's all gonna come together. It's all gonna be velvety and luxurious. This is gonna have the texture of Kraft mac and cheese, but the flavor of real cheeses and the flavor of all those vegetables. I am not so pretentious that I despise Kraft. I love Kraft to death, but I wanna make it really special and I wanna make it really delicious, and this is how we're going to do it. Can I please get a yes, chef, please, and thank you. That's right, John Dahlia and Serena. Catholic Queen came on in, bought me the Breville toaster, bought me everything. The Vitamix, whole thing. Okay, so I'm gonna make sure that my cheese plate is right next to me, ready to go at all times for this process. We're gonna get this liquid simmering away. And if it ever gets like too dry, if like too much of it evaporates or something, we can always add back in a little bit of liquid. This type of a sauce is so forgiving. There is no bechamel, there is no roux, there is no evaporated milk, there is no worry about the cheese actually splitting. The sodium citrate really takes care of it. It really does, my friends. Okay? So, it's simmering away now. We're gonna get it to a little bit more aggressive of a simmer in just a second. I'm gonna have another sip of water, refill my water cup. And so everybody, we can now begin. Small handfuls of cheese, especially at first. This is the most critical stage of the process. This is where truly the magic happens. I'm gonna set my cheese back here. I'm gonna lower the heat slightly. Everybody, we add in a clump of cheese and we take it and we whisk it. And we need to whisk it aggressively. And this looks strange and wrong to any of you that have not done this before. Okay, it's gonna look like, oh, whoa, this is weird. We just added in straight clumps of cheese into boiling water. Right? That might seem a little bit strange, but guys, I promise you, it's all gonna come together. It's all gonna come together. You just have to trust me. You have to have some faith. Trust the process. Trust the process. This is not a cheese sauce yet, but it will absolutely go ahead and become one. Okay? So constantly whisk it. Get the edges, get the corners. Don't leave any cheese unmelted. And I'm actually gonna take the chat with me so I don't have to look away too far. Okay, melt it all in, my friends. Melt it in so there's absolutely no chunks remaining. And then we can go in with another nice little handful of the cheese. Add it in. Trust the process. Trust the process. You don't have to worry about it splitting because of the temperature. Just whisk it, my friends. Whisk it and whisk it and whisk it in. And you will get a beautiful, glorious, flavorful, and creamy cheese sauce. It looks wet and loose because we have all of that water in there still. But as we add in the cheese and as it melts in, you will see just how gorgeous she becomes. You will see how distinguished she is. Okay, so get it going, get it going, get it going. All right, get in all, and I do mean all of the clumps of cheese. Get into all of the corners, my friends. Do not leave any cheese unmelted. Do not leave any cheese unwhisked. So once you're done with this little batch, let's go in with the next handful of cheese. Goes directly inside, and once again, my friends, just whisk it in. Whisk it in, and make that sauce happen. Make this sauce come to life. Make it come to fruition. And it's gonna get a little bit easier. But if you look, we can still see that there's chunks in there. So just keep going. You love a good emulsion? That's right. This really is the one time in the kitchen that we can actually say emulsification correctly. The sodium citrate is letting us melt cheese into the water, which is crazy that that is even physically possible. It is literally letting us bend the laws of physics. Okay, sodium citrate, it's not so scary as the name suggests. Just because something has a chemical sounding name, it doesn't mean it's like all the other awful, nasty preservatives, my friends. Sodium citrate has a place in your kitchen. Anytime you're doing a milk sauce, anytime that you're doing a cream sauce, I'm telling you, sodium citrate goes such a long way. So we can already see it's getting nice and glossy. It's getting nice and golden, but it doesn't have the viscosity yet. Oh, it will though. It absolutely will. So, that has been whisked in. Let's go in with the next handful of cheese. Whisk it all in, my friends. Whisk it in a little bit at a time. If you do too much, it'll be really difficult to actually get it to melt in evenly. Break it up, break it up, break it up, break it up, break it up. Break it all up. Break up this fight that's happening right now. Right? You can see the strands almost coagulating at the bottom. Okay? All you have to do is just break it up. The whisk doesn't bring in air. The whisk is just, it has so much little surface area on it that it does a really, really good job of breaking stuff up. So break up this fight, break it up, and keep it whisking, my friends. That's all. We make the cheese sauce. The cheese sauce is going to come out fantastic. It's going to come out beautiful. It's going to come out so rich, and it's going to come out so delicious. So, still not done yet. You can still see that we have a lot of really, really visible clumps. Get the sides, don't forget about the sides. And every now and then we'll go back in and rotate the whole thing. We'll rotate it just to make sure that we're getting all of the cheese nicely and evenly melted in, my friends. So it doesn't look like anything yet. Trust the process. Trust the process and it'll all come together. So, this batch of cheese is melted in. Let's go in with another little batch of cheese. That's a little bit much, but because the stove is hot, it is melting slightly inside. Yeah, this might be a little bit too warm for the cheese. It was a convenient location, but it was so warm that the cheese started melting onto the plate itself. Okay, so aggressively mix it in, aggressively stir it up. Melt it, melt it, melt it, melt it. And this cheese sauce is beginning to form. And it's going to be beautiful, it's going to be luxurious, and it's going to be spicy, and it's going to be flavorful. This is going to be a really, really special mac and cheese, my friends. It's going to be a real treat for us to eat today. Okay, go back in there and stir it up once more. Stir it up, stir it up, stir it up. Really, really, truly make sure. Does the type of cheese affect the amount of sodium citrate you need? So Canadian Panda, the question is generally no, except when we start talking about really high moisture cheeses or really low moisture cheeses. Specifically, Parmesan. Parmesan is probably going to require a little bit more sodium citrate because it's really considered a hard cheese. That cheese, right, is not typically considered a melting cheese. So the ratios for a Parmesan sauce might actually be a little bit different. Because this is cheddar and mozzarella that we're working with, these are two very classically good quote-unquote melting cheeses. They have enough, they don't like separate too much, right? In this case, it doesn't actually really matter. Otherwise, really high moisture cheeses, think of something like a brie, you typically need less, and something like a Parmesan, you typically need more. So Canadian Panda, I hope that answers your question. You can see how golden it's beginning to get, my friends. It's beginning to get golden, it's beginning to get delicious. I think my heat is a little bit too high at this stage, and I think we can do another nice little clump of my lovely cheese. All of it inside of the pot. That was a very good question. That's right, Serena. You got a Canadian Panda. Okay, so break it up, break it up, break it up. You don't need the sauce boiling. Just make sure nothing is scorching around the sides, so you don't want your heat too high. Normally, when you try to make a cheese sauce in milk or evaporated milk or inside of a bechamel, right, you have a risk of what's called splitting the cheese. If your cheese sauce gets too warm, all the proteins sink to the bottom and the texture of it then sucks. But by doing it this way, with the sodium citrate, guys, we have so much more cushion. It is so much more difficult to actually mess things up when we're doing a cheese sauce like this. Okay, and that is something I can promise you every day of the week. So, really quickly, I'm gonna grab a silicone spatula to get the sides. My whisk is struggling to whisk in the sides of this pot. And so my silicone spatula is instead gonna go ahead and take care of that for us to make sure that we have no stuck and we have no burnt cheese on the sides of the pot. Okay, whisk it back all in the, whisk it back and whisk it in, whisk it in. My heat is a little bit too high, it's still bubbling away a lot. And next thing of cheese goes in. And everybody, this is why you need to trust the process. You can see the viscosity now is really, really amping up. You can see it's not just plain water now. The last few clumps of cheese give it that final texture and you'll go, whoa, how did we actually get here? Right? This is genuinely magic. There's a few moments in the kitchen that actually feel magical, and this is one of them, okay? So keep it going, keep it whisking, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. Melt it all in until there's no strands. If you pick it up and it looks like there's like little hairs or these little strings, it's not melted enough. The goal is for this to be creamy and oozy and delicious, not for it to be stringy, okay? If you want stringiness, fold in cheese at the end so that you have the strands of cheese that aren't melted in, and then when it bakes, you'll have these lovely strings of cheese. Guys, you have to go slow and patient. I'm trying to show you how much time this actually does end up taking. Do not rush this. Don't rush it, and you will come out with something really, really beautiful by the end of this kind of a process. Okay, next big handful of cheese goes in. Add it in, my friends, add it in, whisk it in, get the sides, whisk it in, slightly lower heat. I think my heat's a little bit too high. The cheese is starting to like stick to the sides of the pot. And whisk it in, and you can see how golden, how glossy, how smooth and rich it is. And this cheese sauce does need to be intentionally a little too loose. Remember, this is a baked mac and cheese. A baked mac and cheese, the pasta is going to continue to absorb the moisture. Some moisture is going to end up evaporating. So this is not going to be the final consistency of the cheese sauce. We intentionally undershoot the pasta just so that it can go ahead. It's going to release some starches. The starches are going to thicken the cheese sauce, and the pasta is going to continue to absorb a little bit of the moisture of the cheese sauce itself. So don't worry about the viscosity. You want it to be just before what you're really looking for, okay? So add it in, and then we'll do the last little bits of the cheese, my friends. But as you can see, look at that. Look at that viscosity. Look at that texture. Look how smooth it is. Look how creamy it's becoming. Look at that beautiful yellow hue. Look at the way that this pours out. That is a beautiful cheese sauce. This is the power of sodium citrate, my friends. Look at this cheese sauce. Look how far that we have come in such a short amount of time. Look at that beautiful texture. I told you, it's like magic. When you do those last few handfuls of cheese, it just really tightens up and you're like, whoa, wait, this is actually working? And I'm telling you right now, oh yes it is. Okay, so we're getting there. We're getting closer. Melt it in. I have no idea what just fell into the cheese sauce. I saw a little clump of something. Well, I'll pretend like it never happened to begin with. It might have actually just been the pan underneath it. Everybody, keep it going. Keep it going. Whisk it all up. Yeah, what's this? Oh, I think those are just air bubbles. Yep, those are just air bubbles. There's nothing inside of my beautiful, gorgeous cheese sauce, my friends. Okay? Look at that sauce. Look at that consistency. Look at that texture. That is really, really beautiful. Okay? Okay, last few additions of the cheese. The final seasoning. Or actually, maybe in one last final step after that. Let's get this melted in first. Let's not bite off more than we can chew. Just melt it in. Whisk it in, get all the crevices, get all the sides, because remember, the cheese is going to want to stick to the pan itself unless you physically say, hey, nope, you can't do that. You got to go into the sauce, my friend. So get the whole thing. Oftentimes, people don't understand that you can't just whisk in one spot. You whisk in one spot, you don't get the whole thing. You have to go all the way around. That is something I have to keep teaching and showing my cooking students over and over again. That, hey, we have to be nice and generous with this process. We have to go all the way around. We have to mix around little circles. It's the same thing as cleaning. And guys, look at the sauce. Look at the sauce. Look at that beautiful sauce. Look at that consistency. Look how cheesy it is. Look how golden it is. Look how smooth it is. So, two dads kissing. My forearms are the forearms of a bodybuilder. I carry a heavy briefcase with me anytime I go out now and anytime I go to work. And so, I do actually have the forearms of a bodybuilder. And nothing else. I have min-maxed my muscle distribution. Okay? And it's glorious and it's fantastic. Guys, look at the texture. Remember how I told you, it'll seize up at the end. Everybody, I want you to tell me how beautiful this cheese sauce is. I want to hear a nice yes, chef, please and thank you. Okay? Oh, did I pop out that whisk out of its thing? No, I don't think so. Look at it. Look at this beautiful cheese sauce. Look how it's all coming together now. That is gorgeous, isn't it? Okay, last of the cheese. Last of the cheese. All of it in. All of it in. All of it in. All of it in. All of it in like your life depends on it, my friends. All of it inside. All of it inside. Beautiful. And mix it all in. Mix it in. And we're almost done. We gotta do the garlic. We gotta do the gochujang, the gochugaru, and we'll taste the sauce for the seasoning. Beautiful. That is a gorgeous cheese sauce. Get the sides. Don't forget about the sides, my friends. Don't forget about the sides. And we just want to keep going until there's virtually no lumps remaining within reason. The handle of the pot was getting a little hot. Let's move that out of the way. Let's move that off to the side. This kitchen's getting a little bit sweaty at the moment. So really get in there, really get all the way around your sides, my friends. Look at the sauce. Look at this gorgeous sauce. It's velvety, it's smooth, it's everything you've ever wanted it to be and more. Okay? That, I want to say, is just about finished. Now, we will be keeping this on the heat a little bit longer because I do want to get my gochujang and my garlic slightly cooked and slightly infused. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with my garlic now. That was a lot of garlic. That was like 5 cloves of garlic, my friends. We're going to get it into the cheese sauce. Into the cheese sauce and mix it in. This is not going to be a bland mac and cheese. It's not just going to be straight noodles and sauce. Okay? It's going to have flavor. It's going to have some of those lovely alliums in it. It's going to be nice and spicy. Okay, there you go. Mix it in. And everybody, garlic and cheese. It smells pretty fantastic at the moment, I must say. Okay, that looks quite good. Those little lumps in there are the garlic, right? So we don't have to worry about those little lumps. Those lumps will never go away. The sauce will still be smooth. It'll still be velvety. It'll still be perfect. Next, everybody, this is the money maker. This is what makes this mac and cheese really special. My gochujang and my gochugaru. And it goes in now. And we whisk it in. And we whisk it in and we whisk it in. This is what's going to make our mac and cheese really, truly stand out today. This is the start of the show, as far as I'm concerned. Okay? So it's going to get nice and beautiful. Nice and orangey. And yet still really, really cheesy. Look how thick it's getting. Ooh, that is a viscous and thick sauce. Get it all in there, my friends. Get it all in there, get it all in there, get it all in there. You want to eat a carrot cube? Guess what? Me too. But this still doesn't have the pasta, and it still hasn't baked yet. But it's all going to get there, my friends. It's all going to get there. So now should be the stage where it has the flavor. So let's taste it. Let's taste it for the spice. Let's taste it for the seasoning. The pasta is perfectly salted. It does not need more salt. I just want to see how the amount of gochujang and the gochugaru did for us today, okay? So get a little taste. Oh, hello. Ooh, guys. That's good. But let me tell you something right now. That is not nearly enough of either. I actually barely tasted it. We're going to do another sizable lump of gochugaru and gochujang. We're basically going to double the amount that we just put in. I tasted it. That is not nearly flavorful enough. Okay, so a little bit of the gochujang. More going in now. Thank you very much. Thank you for your service, little teaspoon. Get in there, whisk it in, whisk it up, whisk it up. Oh, plenty of garlic. The garlic, the 5 cloves of garlic, I think ended up actually being enough. Who would have thought? This looks transcendent, and it still hasn't baked yet. We still haven't added everything else to it. Okay? It still is not at its peak form. So really whip it up. Look at that gorgeous viscosity. Look how thick it's getting. Okay? Now, we go in with a little bit more gochugaru because I want that flavor. I want that spice. I want it to be nice and fruity. I do not want to end up with a bland mac and cheese, my friends. Okay, so we go in another nice little spoonful or 2 in of the gochugaru. It's a big pot of mac and cheese. But in terms of the actual spice, it's going to have plenty thanks to the chili that we'll be adding on in. So whisk that in. Whisk that all into the sauce. And now, everybody, it is time for us, I believe, to add in the pasta. Look at that sauce. Look at that sauce. Look how thick that is. That is beautiful. That is a work of art. Okay. Whisk goes over there. Pasta. Come on out, little buddy. Let's go in with all of my pasta. And let's fold that into the sauce. The pasta, we treated it with a little bit of fat just to stop it from sticking to itself. And that seems like a lot of pasta for that amount of sauce. But guys, remember, that is a pound of cheese. If anything, we have enough cheese. We have enough cheese for plenty of mac and cheese. Okay, so get it in there and get it all coated. It's going to slightly coagulate because the cheese is getting cold since the pasta is cold, right? This is normal. That is okay. It's going to be a little bit difficult. It's going to seem a little strenuous to mix it all in. It's supposed to look this gluey. It's cooled down slightly, okay? And then everybody, all of my lovely vegetables, my Chinese chive, my chili, and my scallion, all of it goes into the pot now. All of it goes in, and it's going to shrink down as it all cooks. So don't you worry about that. Don't you worry your pretty little heads about that, my friends. So all of that scallion, all of that chili, all of that Chinese chive as well. And now we have to somehow find any reasonable way to fold this monstrosity in with itself. It's becoming gluey. It's becoming really sticky and starchy. That is okay. That is normal. It's supposed to be this gluey and sticky at this stage. Okay? This is the kind of a thing that you have to just trust the process of. Trust the process. Trust the process and it'll all come out magical. Just at the moment when everything is really, really cold, the cheese coagulates, the cheese solidifies again. But that does make it easier to actually pack into a final vessel. Okay, I don't think the 2 spoons actually worked out all that well. So we're just gonna go 1 spoon and really, really fold it. We're gonna go 1 spoon and fold it like so. We're gonna go 1 spoon and fold it. And really, really separate those pastas, my friends. Really separate them. Make sure that all of the greens are nice and incorporated. So again, it looks sticky. It looks a little dry. It's not going to be that way once we bake it. Okay? Trust the process. Trust it, and trust it now, please and thank you. Okay? Ooh. So this kind of a dish, by the way, this would not work as a non-baked mac and cheese. To make this a regular like stovetop mac and cheese, you do need more liquid than what we currently have here. Okay, because then the sauce needs to be a little bit creamier. This sauce is going to bake up beautifully though. It's going to give us some really, really special, some really creamy, some really gooey baked mac and cheese. Ooh. Everybody look at that thing. Guys, look at this thing. Look at this big pot. Ooh, that thing is crazy, isn't it? Okay, pick it up, fold it back in, get those veggies, get those Chinese chives and those chilies and those scallions, get them all nice and incorporated throughout the pasta. This thing is heavy. I don't think I want to do a breadcrumb topping. I think I just kind of want to bake it as is. The reason why I'm not crazy about a breadcrumb topping is just because this thing is rich enough. It has enough texture for me. I don't think a baked mac and cheese necessarily demands a breadcrumb topping always, right? So I just want to bake it to get it to its final texture, but I definitely do not want any more like breadcrumbs. I don't think I want more butter in this, right? I think this is plenty rich by itself. I will say the breadcrumb topping, while nice, it is just not an essential for me. Look at this mac and cheese. Look at this mac and cheese. I'm just, again, really breaking up all of the pasta, stopping them from sticking to each other and making sure that everything is all together and everything is going to get some of that love. There you go. Whew. Now this is becoming a workout. This whisking, I used to be so bad with. The cheese grating, I used to be so bad with. Picking up an entire starchy, fatty, congealed mass of beautiful mac and cheese, this might be a little bit difficult, at this stage at least. Okay, one more last fold, everybody. My muscles are giving out at this stage, so I think we're gonna have to stop. Okay, whew. Genuinely exhausting. That's the mac and cheese. We're gonna layer it in, and we're gonna bake it off, and it's gonna be perfect, and it's gonna be amazing. Is everybody excited? I wanna hear another yes, chef, please, and thank you, as we go ahead and we pack it in. Oh. Wow. That is, look at that quantity of cheese. That is, quite frankly, a ridiculous amount. Also, I think I should have done like 400, not 425. I think that could be a little too hot for us. It is currently a heat wave in New York, or rather it's about to happen, and I have the oven on in a small kitchen. Difficult, really. Okay. Everybody, I'm going to take a second. I'm going to put 1 or 2 things away, and then we're going to pack this bad boy in. We're gonna pack it in and we're gonna bake this thing like there is no tomorrow. So let's go ahead and get that set up now. Everybody, I'm going to be using these really, really fun, these really, really lovely little dishes that I have here. These are the cute little ceramic pots that I have. And I just think this would be an excellent vessel to do a baked mac and cheese on. I do have a slightly deeper vessel that I could do, but I think packing it in there would be a hassle. So let's go ahead. I cannot pick up this mass. It is so heavy. So I'm gonna have to just go in there with a spoon, pick this thing up. Actually, maybe I'd be able to. Let's go find out. Let's see how it works. Everybody? Oh, first thing that we do need to do, to stop it from completely sticking, we do need to get a little bit of butter in there. That is something that I forgot about. Let's go ahead and get some butter and just grease it up. Just grease it up all the way around. Doing it with butter and not oil is nice because the oil slicks off, whereas the butter in a cold state, it's nice and solid, right? So generously, really, really, truly grease it up. And it's also going to help make the bottom nice and crispy. It's going to help to get it nice and evenly heated down there. So generously rub it all over. Rub it in there, rub it all over, rub it all over. Lovely. I'm going to go ahead and quickly rinse off my hand because I just gripped a big old stick of butter. And now, everybody, is the moment of truth. Now is the moment where we can see if we can pack in this sheer quantity of mac and cheese. These things fit surprisingly more food than you would think. So I'm actually quite confident about it. Let's see. Let's go to the stove for this. I still have no idea how to get this mac and cheese out of the pot without it like completely spilling all over the place. I guess this will do. I guess this will do just fine, actually. Grab it, take it, and put it in. And pack it in there, my friends. Really, really pack it in. Pack it in, make sure there's no gaps of it or anything like that. Get it all inside. With a big old lump of mac and cheese. All of that goes in. And then we'll fill up the second one as well. Oof. Try black magic, that would definitely work. That's right, Moonha. Oh, a little bit of magic goes a long way for something like this. This is so much effort for a big old mac and cheese. But guys, mac and cheese deserves that effort. Mac and cheese is a special dish. It's a Sunday. I want to celebrate. I have a big work week coming up ahead of me. I've been doing so much lately. I wanted to celebrate with a big pile of some delicious, incredibly inspired gochujang mac and cheese. So, let's go in there with a little bit more. Let's keep packing it in. Just keep getting it in there somehow. Somehow these trays end up fitting more than you can think. I don't know how they do it, but they do it every time, damn it. This is a good dish where you only have to bake one of them so you can have the other on standby. That's right. Guys, this is the kind of a thing that you can keep in the fridge. Just don't put like ceramic from the fridge into the oven. That could damage the ceramic. But other than that, this is one of those things that is just on standby before it bakes. You bring a tray of this to somebody's home and you bake it and then it is ready for a party or for an occasion or for a festivity. That is the beauty of a baked mac and cheese. That a stovetop mac and cheese just cannot do. Okay? So get it in there, really, really, really pack it, my friends. And when I say pack it, I mean pack it. Pack it in, get it all within the vessel. And we have a little bit more mac and cheese to still figure out where it goes and where it will live. How long can this stay in the fridge for? Dr. Slowbro, I'm gonna say, like, before we bake it, like 3 to 4 days. I wouldn't do much more past that because enough starch could extract from the pasta that it becomes so gluey and so thick and so congealed. So that would be my answer to you. Okay, but yeah, everybody, if this was a stovetop mac, you definitely need less cheese than this. Less cheese and more liquid, absolutely. Change that ratio up. Okay, wonderful. I seem to have gotten all of the mac and cheese inside of each of my little dishes. Let's go ahead and spread it out. Okay. Oof. Guys, look at that color. Look how orange it is. It's spicy, it's aromatic, it's alliumy, it's garlicky. It has so much flavor, it has so much aroma inside of it. This is gonna be delicious. Okay, so just really, really, truly pack it in, pack it in, make sure that nothing is coming out of the sides. And I will steal one little pasta food myself. Oh, man. You have no idea how good this thing tastes. This tastes really special. This tastes really magical, and it hasn't even baked yet. So let's go ahead and get a sheet tray set up. This is another piece of advice. Everybody, I want to hear the nice Susanna yes chef from everybody watching, please and thank you. Okay? I have a really, really lovely and important piece of advice. Anytime that you're baking something in a square dish or in a ceramic dish, it really, really, really helps so much at the end of the day to just have a sheet tray that you can put it in the oven with. Something like this. Because it is so much easier to carry it. And especially if it's packed over the limit, right? This is how it stops it from also spilling over. Sometimes you can have cheese that bubbles over. Sometimes you can have cheese that spills out. That is all normal, that is all natural. Now, to make it even easier, I'm gonna put on some aluminum foil on the bottom of it. I just wanted to demonstrate this to you. It becomes so much easier to take this out of the oven as well, right? Because you're holding this flat surface. It's safer, it's easier to clean up, it catches anything that can drip off of it. So, again, I highly, highly, highly recommend anytime that you're carrying something like one of these big trays, putting it on a sheet tray first. It seems like a very small optimization, but trust me, it goes such a long way. So, get that on there, lovely. And now let's get the mac and cheese on. And everybody, I'm stealing the Serious Eats timings for this. This is gonna be about 40 minutes in the oven or so. Okay, and we'll see how it comes out. There you go. Beautiful, gorgeous. 40 minutes, 35 minutes. We'll just check on it. We just want to make sure it's not burning. We want to make sure it's not scorching. We want the top of it to get nice and bubbly, but nothing more past that, okay? So, in it goes, 400 degrees, everybody, once again, for about 40 minutes. Into the oven. Everybody, let's wish him good night. Let's wish him good night and hope that he comes out well. Everybody, please say good night, Mr. Mac and Cheese. He's going to be more than happy with that one. Okay. In the oven it is. Set a timer for 40 minutes. Whew. That was a lot of work just now. Everybody, we made the mac and cheese, and it's currently baking for 40 minutes. Gemelli pasta, perfectly cooked. We made a sodium citrate-based sauce with cheddar cheese and with mozzarella. We added in Chinese chive, garlic, chilies, and scallions inside as well. We buttered up a dish. We added in gochujang, gochugaru, and garlic. It's flavorful and it's delicious. So 40 minutes at 400 degrees or so. And now I am going to just take a second to put a couple of things away that we do not need at the moment. Okay, so everybody remember, when we cook at home, we clean as we go. Wood stove rack is it on? Canadian Panda, it is on the top rack of the oven. The reason it's on the top rack is because we want that direct radiation from the top of it to caramelize the top of the mac and cheese slightly. Okay, so it's at the top of the oven. Hope that answers your question. Everybody, especially things like this cheese sauce, it is so thick, it is so viscous. If you let it cool down, cleaning it is gonna become hell. So clean it before it dries. Clean it now. Now is your time to do so. Scrub it up. Don't just stick this in your dishwasher. You have to get all of the cheese physically off of the whisk. Do not let it stick to the whisk. You will have so many problems in your future. Guys, consider your future selves. Don't just consider your present selves. Okay? Cotija with Parmesan cheese onto the butter on the outside of sandwiches. We're gonna garnish. Oh, I didn't even mention. I have some leftover cotija from the last few streams. We are gonna add some cotija to the mac and cheese at the end as well, just for like a little extra treat. Okay. So it'll be really, really special. It'll be really tasty. So yeah, everybody, again, I do need to take a second to clean off my utensils. We'll be finishing off the kimchi in just a second. So again, I really apologize for cleaning so much in front of all of you. I just do not want to make this uncleanable for me later on. If you have any cooking questions, now would be an amazing, amazing time to go ahead and ask me, as I'm in the middle of just cleaning up my spoons, just getting all of that cheese sauce off of it so that I can then just stick it into the dishwasher. Right, just rinsing it all off, getting everything out of here, out of sight and out of mind, everybody. We're being proactive. We're being really, really good about this. Get them all out of here. Excellent. How did I learn how to cook? Spiro gal, I consider myself amateur professional. I've been cooking basically my whole life. I am entirely self-taught. I've been self-taught. There's people that I looked up to that I took some information from over the years, but I've been cooking for 14 years, right? Will chef get a cast iron once moved? Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. As soon as I moved, I think maybe my upcoming roommate, Vixen, actually has a few cast iron pieces herself. That's how you know she'll be an excellent roommate, right? She takes care of her stuff. I think that she'll have that all taken care of though. So, everybody, once again, I'm just gonna get rid of a couple more things. I just have some sticky garlic, I have some sticky gochujang and stuff. And so again, I just wanna really, really clean all of that good stuff off. I wanna get it out of here, out of sight, and out of mind. So please forgive me. I don't mean to clean up so much in front of all of you. I do really apologize. Okay, excellent. Do you have rules for experimental cooking? So, Coda, I'm actually not entirely sure what you're trying to ask me. Are you asking me, do I have any rules? What, can you rephrase your question? Could you, ask me in a different way? I think. Okay, there you go. Couple of things out. And everybody, once again, while the pan is still not fully dried out yet, this is the best time to soak the pan. The pan cooled off a little bit. It's been off the heat, so it's not like we're shocking it into cold water, right? So just fill it up with the water, and then we'll clean this up after the stream. I'm not going to wash the pan in front of all of you guys. So the last thing that we really need to get done is just going to be the kimchi. I'm going to just check on the oven, say hi to the mac and cheese. It looks beautiful. It looks excellent even. We got to finish up doing the kimchi. Right? We got to drain the liquid out of it. We have to do the prep for it. We have to do the paste. We have to slice up some scallion and cilantro as a garnish. And then we'll take out the mac and cheese out of the oven and serve it. And everything is going to come out perfect. Okay. Hi. How's everybody doing? Is everybody still enjoying the show today? And it's good to see all of you. So everybody, now that we have a little bit of a moment before we can begin the kimchi, couple of bits of housekeeping. First of all, this Wednesday, I will be going on hiatus. The full official announcement is gonna be posted on Twitter tomorrow. Tomorrow is when I sign my new lease. So everybody, I'm gonna be moving, and I also have a work trip coinciding with each other. The hiatus will last, hopefully, only 1 or 2 weeks. Or a week and a half or so. Once I move into the new place, I have to get the internet set up, and I have to get my new studio all set up. So it's gonna be a really, really big hustle. Stay in contact with me. Stay in contact, join my Discord, !Discord. Okay, the Discord is a really, really amazing community. We have some really lovely people in there. I would love for the Discord to become more active. You can come interact with me, you can post pictures of food, !Discord, join the community. Second of all, just as Muna has said, Patreon to directly support me. My goal is to be able to do this full time. I don't have any sponsors. I don't plan on taking sponsors, and I've turned off advertisements on Twitch. I can't turn off the pre-roll advertisements, but I've turned them off. Because my goal is not to make money off of your attention span. My goal is to do what I do, to teach you all how to cook, and if you have the money to help support the show, it'll go a really long way. So, follow me on Twitter, join the Discord for the specific announcement about the hiatus. I'm also going to announce it this Wednesday stream. Dara moving vlogs are Slippy. I don't know if I'll ever be doing vlogs. I don't think I'm that interested in doing so, because I'm interested in teaching people. I'm interested in helping people. I'm not interested in just kind of spitting out content. One day in the future, though, we'll have video content. We'll do full recorded YouTube content, and it's all going to be so special and all be so cool. Okay. A few more things I think can get put away in the meantime. A few more things I can just go ahead and quickly stuff into the dishwasher. Now that I'm taking a second and looking behind me, I could put away Mr. Sodium Citrate as well. That has done a wonderful, wonderful job for us today, as well as my gemelli pasta. And now, everybody, we can go ahead and proceed with making the kimchi for today. We'll make the kimchi. It's not going to take up too much time. We'll just be very slow. We'll be really paying attention to our techniques. And if we have leftover time, then I'll wash the dishes in front of all of you for your entertainment. Mr. Passionate, what are 3 interesting facts about myself? I don't like that as a question because I think everything about me is interesting. So ask me a more specific question. I think there's a lot of very interesting facts about me. So it's like kind of hard to pull from it. It's like saying, oh, how have you been lately? Right? That's a difficult question to answer in that moment. Okay, so that's enough beating around the bush. My kimchi, let's go ahead and discuss it. Let's go ahead and talk about it. There's your first fact, narcissist. Technically, yes, I'm pretty sure diagnosed too. So, everybody, this is my cabbage. And I know it doesn't look like much, but we did something super, super important to the cabbage, which is we squeezed it of all of its moisture thanks to the salt. The cabbage was all the way up till here. It lost so much of its volume because the salt that we added really, really helped to soften it, and we got rid of all of this liquid. Okay, so we have to go ahead, we have to push out the liquid, we have to squeeze it out. What is the weirdest protein I've eaten? I've eaten just about everything except most bug proteins. I've eaten ostrich, I've eaten snake, I've had it all. I've done it all at this point. So, you know, I hope that answers your question. How do you manage your time to get to your goals? Coda Anthony, the question is Google Calendar and my notes app at all times, basically. Okay, I'm also just checking some proportions for this. Okay, so we got it all nice and softened. Everybody, at this stage, what we're going to end up doing probably is we'll rinse off the cabbage. We'll squeeze it of all of this liquid. We'll rinse off the salty liquid because otherwise the salty liquid will remain on it and it'll stay a little bit too salty for us, okay? So I'm just gonna go drain this into the sink. I'll just be using the same colander as I did for my pasta. Right, as long as I just get all the cheesy bits off of it, then I think that should be okay. I don't think I really want cheese in my kimchi. That is the one time. And by the way, that is what I think is so cool about Korean food. Korean food is like so traditional and it's like so old. It's a very old cuisine as far as things go. And then because of Western influence, you get like these really, really crazy concoctions where you see like kimchi and tteokbokki just be mixed with like pounds of mozzarella cheese and butter. It is fascinating to see how some like East Asian countries, specifically Korea and Japan, have really, really taken to dairy in the last few decades, right? Or how, like, for example, corn has become an incredibly popular condiment in ramen. Corn would be like this really, really lovely little specialty, or like cheese corn in KBBQ places. Okay, that should all be nice and rinsed off now. I'm gonna go ahead and rinse my cabbage. We're gonna rinse the cabbage and we're gonna go ahead and strain it off. We're gonna get all of that salty liquid out of there, my friends. All that salty liquid gone and into the sink instead. So rinse the cabbage and we'll let it dry just to get rid of more of that liquid. Okay. What makes sharp cheeses easier to melt? So, Mr. Passionate, I actually don't think that sharp cheeses make it easier to melt. Sharp just specifically refers to the fact that you can taste the age on it. That's all that it really means for the cheese to be sharp. If anything, the more that it's aged, the more difficult it is to actually melt. And so the reason that's the case is because you are losing some moisture in that aging process. So, my cabbage is all nice and rinsed. Everybody, I'm just gonna leave that to strain in the sink until we are ready to go ahead and use it once again. Okay? Harmony ramen, that sounds amazing. Yes, so all that it means for the cheese to be sharp, Mr. Passionate, is that it was aged somewhat. It's not like an exact scientific term, it's not a super scientific definition, right? There's no rule for what constitutes extra sharp. Is there anything I'd like to know about you personally? I don't know how to answer that question. That's a question I don't think I can answer, Mr. Passionate. Okay, so this bowl is effectively clean. We don't even need to really wash this thing with soap. It was just carrots and cabbage inside of it. So you don't always have to like be, you know, like, oh, soap and water and throw this thing into the dishwasher. It's basically ready to go. Have I ever used Parmesan cheese in the cheese sauce? I never have, Coda Anthony, I'm afraid to say. Okay, everybody, let's go ahead and check on the mac and cheese. I know we haven't gotten started on the kimchi. I just want to make sure that my mac and cheese is doing well. It needs about another 28 minutes of baking. It's been going for 12 minutes at this point. Okay? I just want to check on it just to make sure that it's not burning, that nothing is scorching on it. So I'm getting a couple of towels ready to go. And we will then take it out and inspect it. And hopefully It looks beautiful and looks nice and crispy on top and looks gorgeous and golden and orange. And we'll also be rotating the sheet tray at this stage. Guys, this mac and cheese already looks quite phenomenal, I must say. Look at this thing. Beautiful. Get that thing back on in. Get it back into the oven, little rotation, and keep it baking. The pasta on top is gonna become crispy. The cheese on top is gonna become nice and bubbly and nice and browned. Whew. Okay, back to the kimchi. Is there a question I wanted to be asked? John, if there was, then I would have already answered it without somebody asking it. So I don't think I could actually say that. Everybody, I'm sorry for being so desperate for questions right now. I was just taking a second to get myself together. Some Chinese chive. We're going to go ahead and give this little guy a very, very small dice. Okay, we're gonna get him nice and chopped up. It's going to make it really delicious. It's gonna make it really, really nice and aromatic, okay? Do I make these meals for myself, or do I have a significant other roommates? I live with my mom at the moment, Mr. Passionate, so these are for myself and for her for the time being, and then when I live with my new roommate, Vixen, that'll be for her as well. These look thicker than the chives I'm used to. So, Spiro Gal, these aren't regular old chives that are just used as a herb. These are Chinese chives. These are also called garlic chives, I believe. Okay, and so they are a lot thicker. They're really delicious. They're really alliumy. They're quite similar, just they're a lot bigger in texture. Okay, so everybody, we're going to go ahead and cut this up into roughly like, I don't know, 1-inch pieces or so. We don't want massive, massive chunks of Chinese chive here. But I'm also going to just make sure that I separate all of these little guys too. Stack it up the best that you can, bundle it up in your hands, and let's see if I can get a nice little bundle of Chinese chive. Okay, just square off this side, and nice little small pieces all the way through. Is your mom also a cook, or who or what inspired you to start cooking? So everybody in my family like cooks to some extent, Mr. Passionate, but my original inspiration was that as a kid, not only was food already like my special interest, I spent all my time watching Food Network, I got very sick of eating Russian food growing up. I got really, really sick of eating Russian food all the time, and so I wanted to learn how to make other things because I was exhausted of it. Now, I love Russian food, right? Now I love that. Now it's really, really nostalgic for me. But as a kid, I hated it. I hated it, and I was so sick of it. I was so tired of eating boiled potatoes and boiled turkey. And so now, at this point in my life, I have a much more newfound appreciation of it. So everybody, Chinese chive. We're going to go ahead and get this bad boy into my bowl. Nice generous amount of it, because I already have it all nice and washed. Okay. And I could also probably cut this little guy up a little bit more. It is such a pretty name, isn't it? I agree too. Okay, chef has not made turkey on stream yet. You are correct, Serena, because, you know, it's a lot of effort. It takes up a lot of time. It's a really big chunk of meat. And so that's also just too much food for me usually. So, Chinese chive going inside. Next, everybody, we're going to go ahead and get my seasoning paste for today done. And that is going to involve some gochugaru. It's going to involve also a little bit of honey in there as well. The honey is going to add in some really nice, really welcome sweetness into the whole thing. The gochugaru is, of course, an essential component. We're gonna need roughly about 2 tablespoons of this or so. So let's go ahead and add that in now. How much did this meal specifically cost? So that's a good question because I had to buy gochujang from the ground up. It's difficult to say. It depends on how many pantry staples I need to buy. I'm using half a box of pasta, that's $2.50. I'm using a bunch of produce. It's really difficult to calculate. Usually my budget for streams, some of them are under $20, some of them are over $20. And then I'm usually also buying things for myself throughout the week as well. So it's a little bit more of a complicated question than you would think. Okay, next. We're going to go ahead and get a little bit of honey in there as well. The honey, normally you would use like plum syrup or even corn syrup, really popular in Korean food. But I'm using honey because I have honey. And also, honey is delicious, right? This is a fresh kimchi. This is not a fermented kimchi. I feel like that is super, super important to clarify. This is not going to be lacto-fermented. This is just going to be a little bit of honey in there. And then we can always adjust the amount of honey that we have. This one was slightly over, Mr. Passionate, because I had to buy a new tub of gochujang, despite the fact that I'm barely going to be using it today. Okay? Okay, lovely. So, I am also going to need, I just have it written down on my phone here. We're going to need a little bit of garlic, and then we're also going to need a little bit of ginger in there as well, some sesame seeds, and we're also going to need some fish sauce. So, I don't have Korean fish sauce, but instead, I just have this squid brand fish sauce right here. I believe this is Thai fish sauce. And as for the amount of fish sauce that I'm going to end up using, I'm going to say somewhere like a tablespoon, maybe a little bit more than that. You don't want too much fish sauce. It can easily become overpowering, but just the right amount of it, my friends, and it can really, really liven something up. So, roughly a tablespoon of fish sauce or so. Can you request a signature African meal? I mean, you sure can, Mr. Passionate. I just don't know if I'll do it because I don't have access to a lot of African ingredients. I don't have access to the kinds of peppers that you would typically see. And I also don't have access to the palm oil because African cooking oftentimes really uses palm oil. Okay? Let's go ahead and mix this up. This is going to be the seasoning paste for today. There you go. And yeah, everybody, most fish sauces, that's what I tell you, most fish sauces are quite similar. Traditionally, in a fermented kimchi, you would have like dried shrimp, you would have some dried anchovies in there as well. Super classic, but right now, just some honey, just some gochugaru, okay, just some fish sauce, and now we'll also do some sesame seeds inside as well. What's fish sauce taste like in its raw form? It's very meaty, it's very oomph, right? But it's also really, really pungent by itself. So I wouldn't really recommend eating it by itself. But right now, black sesame seeds gonna go on in. And we'll mix it all back through. And then we gotta get some garlic in here and some ginger, and then we'll mix it all back in to the kimchi that we're making today. Smells quite lovely at the moment, I've gotta say. Oh, come on, in you go. Thank you, buddy. So I'm just making sure that my cabbage and my carrots, they're all draining out nicely. Getting rid of all of that excess water from them. Is it similar to soy sauce or Worcestershire? So it's not similar to soy sauce, Mr. Passionate. It is similar to Worcestershire. Worcestershire will be the closest thing to it. Okay? So, lovely. Fish sauce, honey, sesame seeds. Now it's time to do my garlic and my ginger. And so, I am going to be using a microplane for this. We're going to be using a microplane just to be able to zest it. I love my microplane. It's a really, really awesome kitchen tool. Everybody should own one of these things. And so, I'm not going to actually try to smash it too much. I'm going to just give it a little smash because I want to keep this garlic clove intact. We keep it intact, and that way, it'll just shred up a lot nicer. So, one garlic clove, and just zest it. Zest it up. Get it done, my friends. Get it done, get it done, get it going, get it going. Also, Kodo Anthony, what kind of discussions can we have in the Discord? It can be about food, it can be about anything SFW. The Discord is just a community for any of the fans. Okay? So, as you can see, all the garlic is stuck in there. You don't have to worry about it. The ginger that we're going to add in here is going to take care of it for us, okay? So, almost done. So that really underdeveloped. I'm afraid that I actually already own 2 separate pestle and mortars. So I don't think I'm gonna need that. I don't think I can accept your offer. I'm not interested in it. Also, it's okay. I don't think this has become like a bit at this point. So Munaha, you didn't have to delete the message, but I appreciate it anyways. Okay, let's get my little guy of ginger out now. And we'll peel him up and also go ahead and shred him on in. So everybody, a little bit of ginger. Let's go ahead and just quickly take a spoon just to peel off all of that skin from the ginger. And then afterwards, we do need to check on the mac and cheese again. It's okay. Thank you for helping keeping the streams good. Moonha, you are doing excellent. Okay. And get that in there, get that in there. Get that all nice and peeled. There you go, that should be good. And we just need a little bit of ginger. I'm slicing off the dried off bottom. What is the craziest thing you've done outside of cooking? Oh, Mr. Passionate. I mean, outside of cooking, in cooking still, I was on Chopped Junior. Otherwise, I mean, I'm an esports commentator. I've commentated like events for like tens of thousands of people, and I'm still continuing to do so. So I guess that very much so counts. I think that's a good way to answer the question that you have for me. Okay, everybody, a little bit of ginger, not too much ginger at all. And now you can see it's all coming on out. So you just had to trust the process and add it all in with the seasoning paste. But yeah, I was on Chopped Junior when I was 13 years old. That was 8 years ago at this point. I sucked at cooking then. Like, I mean, I could make good food, but I didn't have any of the like theory and the understanding and philosophy that I have now. Okay? So, going ahead, taking the garlic, taking the ginger that we've just minced up, mixing it into the paste just so that it can easily and evenly coat everything up. And then we'll go ahead and get the chives mixed in there. I do want to check my ingredient list if there's anything that I missed, but I do believe that I've got it all. Yeah, no, I think this should be the majority of the components. Do I have to be 21 to buy cooking wine? Mr. Passionate, I believe it depends. Liaoju is typically very salty, so you can't really drink it as is. That's the Chinese cooking wine, or Shaoxing wine. You don't have to, but I believe other places you might. If it's a salted cooking wine, I don't think you need to be 21 to buy it. I believe is the answer. That's right, we also have some sesame seeds in here. So everybody, we're getting everything into the bowl. We're getting it all inside, all of that lovely gochugaru, all of that lovely honey, sesame seeds, and fish sauce. The fish sauce is there for that pungency, for that flavor. Okay? And let's go in now with all of the lovely cabbage and carrots, and we just gotta mix it together, my friends, and get it to all come together and combine. But before we do that, we should check on the mac and cheese again. Yeah, okay, I guess that's true. I guess I haven't really had to do that much in that regard. Oh, crap, I think, I hope I didn't end up burning the mac and cheese in this time. I saw the top of it, and it got, like, quite charred up there. Let's see. Oh, it's not at all. No, guys, this thing looks, oh, my friends, it is bubbling, and it is boiling. This is why we put it on a sheet tray. Look at this mac and cheese. Look at this mac and cheese. It is bubbling. It is looking incredible at the moment. Let's go ahead and put this bad boy back on in. That is looking excellent. That needs a little bit more time. It's gonna bubble over. That's why we put it on a sheet tray, to stop it from dropping to the bottom of the oven. This is perfect instead. Let's get that bad boy back on in there, my friends. A little bit longer and then we'll be ready to go. It'll be so good. It'll be so delicious. And now let's go ahead and mix the kimchi and taste it. So, my salted carrots, my salted cabbage. This is just a really, really basic, really clean, fresh kimchi that we're doing. Not all kimchi is made from Napa cabbage, and not all kimchi necessarily has to be fermented. Okay, so let's get the paste, let's get the Chinese chives, let's get everything all mixed in with each other now, my friends. Let's get it all mixed in, let's get it all mixed in. This is just a really, really basic, really simple, fresh kimchi. And yes, Celeb really underdeveloped. We did use sodium citrate. Today was just sodium citrate. Okay, get it in there, get it all mixed up. This lovely, delicious seasoning paste that we have created. Get everything squeezed in there, mix it up, my friends. Mix it up, get it all distributed. You don't want any just chunks of seasoning paste. You want it to be all the way surrounding the cabbage. And this is not supposed to be fermented. It's just supposed to be nice, clean, simple flavor. Okay. I could probably use now that I'm looking at this, I'm like going, I think I could use a little bit more gochugaru, but we'll see. So just keep mixing it though. Get that paste distributed. Get that gochugaru nice and spread out. Get it all nice and seasoned with each other. You can't over mix it, but you can definitely under mix it at this stage. There you go. And then we'll taste it for seasoning. We'll adjust it with anything else that it might need. There you go. There you go. That is a really, really basic one. Whew. Yeah, evaporated milk is very typical Celeb really underdeveloped. That's what people usually do. It doesn't split as easily as regular milk does. It's a little bit more condensed. Well, not condensed, just a little bit more concentrated. Okay. So, I think that was a good amount of mixing. I'm gonna go ahead and have a little taste of this fresh kimchi. Oh, guys. Guys, that is so yummy. Ooh. Maybe a little bit much on the fish sauce. Actually, now that I've tasted it, the fish sauce is the last thing that's coming through, which is a little bit unfortunate for me. But that's a really good, delicious, fresh little kimchi. I am forgetting my scallions. That's right, but we'll do the scallion garnish. We'll slice up some scallion greens and stuff. Look at that. There you go. There you go. First time here, we'll be definitely tuning in from time to time. So no nonsense. How did you find the cooking show? Perfect. That's really yummy. A little bit sweet, a little bit spicy. Everybody, I'm going to tell you right now that that fresh kimchi is all done for today. Got a couple of things I can throw into the dishwasher. The pasta is almost done baking. We'll take it out in just a moment. We'll slice up some scallions, and then we will serve and finish everything off for today. And it's all going to be lovely. It's all going to be fantastic. I hope everybody's ready for this. Okay. So, everybody, saw it on the homepage? Well, welcome on in. It's lovely to have you. Welcome to the Best Cooking Show on Twitch. If you have any and all cooking questions, please feel free to ask me. It can be about this dish, and it can be about something else too. Okay? I'll get my gochugaru put away. In fact, if anything, I think the mac and cheese might be ready at this stage. I think I might just want to pull it out so it doesn't continue to squelch. So let's do the final reveal. We'll let that rest a little bit before we dig into it because it'll be hot and sticky. So getting my towels ready to go, getting them all folded up. And then we'll pull it out. And that will be today's mac and cheese. Everybody, look at this thing. Look at this thing as it's coming out. Look at it bubbling, looking at boiling. Guys, this is some really, really serious, really special mac and cheese. That's it. That's my gochujang mac and cheese. Spicy and aromatic and flavorful. That has everything that you want in it. Look at that thing. Look at that beautiful mac and cheese. I'm going to take a nice little picture of that while I have a second. There she is, my pride and joy. Nice and crispy, nice and cooked. It's everything you've wanted it to be. So, a couple more things I'm going to put away. We'll slice some scallions for garnish, and then everybody, we will call it a show today. Chef, where do I recommend getting oven bowls and coquettes? Good question. I actually don't remember where I got mine. That is the one equipment recommendation that I am not confident enough in to be able to properly give you. So, I'm gonna say I can't. I don't think I could tell you at this moment in time, at least. I'm sorry. Normally, I'm very good about giving equipment recommendations. Otherwise, I don't really have one at the moment. So, I'm just cleaning up my cutting board. I'm getting it ready to go one last time, and then I will go ahead and get my scallion sliced, and we'll garnish it, and we'll serve. Do I like using bread bowls for soup? Oh, Coda Anthony, I do. It's been so long since I've had a bread bowl. They're so filling. I love them. Okay, everybody, one last thing. Let's go ahead and get some scallion sliced, because remember, it is not Korean food without scallions. Korean food will always, always have a genuinely aggressive amount of them. Okay? There you go. Take these bad boys and slice it up. Stack it, and I want nice thin, angled slices. Don't chop it, slice it, slice it. Nice and thin, nice big blades, like big blades of grass. Slice it, and 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 slice it up, and slice it up, and slice it up, my friends. Slice it, and slice it, and slice it. Beautiful scallions. I love scallions, and so should you. There we go. Excellent. Some of these scallions, we're going to do right into the kimchi itself. Right into the kimchi, and then the rest of it will be for garnishing my mac and cheese. So, everybody, I think it's time for us to play it. I think it's time for us to get ourselves a nice little plate of mac and cheese, a nice little plate of the kimchi, and we'll call it a show. Get a little plate. It's definitely not cooled down enough, but everybody, that just cannot stop me. That cannot stop me, that will not stop me. Let's go in there, and you can see how cheesy and crispy it is, and nice and melty. Well, actually, maybe a little bowl instead of a plate. I think that would be ideal. And it's rich. This is not the kind of a mac and cheese that you want to eat a massive bowl of. This is 1 pound of cheese for half a pound of pasta. I want to keep reiterating that. It is 1 pound of cheese inside of this whole thing. It's fresh, it's gooey, it's creamy at the moment. I gotta take another picture as I scoop it probably, because that just looks phenomenal. That looks beautiful. Wow. And I'll get another scoop of that for myself. We'll pile it up high. Everybody, this mac and cheese is something really, really special. So, chat, any suggestions on what to mix besides black pepper to plain old mac and cheese? I mean, two dads kissing. I would do a little bit of mustard, all that good stuff. Oof. But look at this mac and cheese. Look at that thing. Let's get a big pile of scallions on there. Beautiful. That is going to be another photo. I'll use one of them for the thumbnail. I'll use one of them for Twitter. That is a really, really beautiful bowl of pasta. Okay. Sorry, I kept taking so many pictures. Couldn't help myself. Oh, you can never have too many scallions. Okay, everybody, I think we can eat. Let's talk about everything that we've made. Let's talk about everything that we've accomplished, and we'll sign off for tonight. Everybody, I made a really, really beautiful, delicious gochujang mac and cheese. Is everybody watching? I want to hear one more yes, chef, please, and thank you. Gochujang mac and cheese. We made a cheese sauce using sodium citrate, mozzarella and cheddar. Mozzarella, so big in Korean cuisine now. Okay, we added in scallions, Chinese chives, garlic, okay, scallions, Chinese chive, garlic, and some green serrano chilies. Gochujang, gochugaru, and we mixed in some beautifully al dente gemelli pasta. We also made this fresh kimchi, not a fermented kimchi. Green cabbage, carrot, gochugaru, sesame seeds, fish sauce, a little bit of honey as well. Okay, nice and spicy, nice and fresh, a little bit sweet, a little bit pungent. So let's go ahead and have a little taste. Cheers of my mac and cheese, steaming and hot and beautiful. Mm. 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 Oh my God. Oh my God. That's so good. That's so rich. That is so thick. Mm. 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 Genuinely incredible. And then let's get a little bit of the kimchi. So Coda, I might actually say no to that because I don't live recipes, and I can talk about more in a second. Have some of the kimchi. Nice and clean. Mm. You expect like a strong lacto-fermented kimchi, but it's nice and clean. It's really fresh, it's really sweet, it's really crunchy. It's really, really delicious. Come back in here. Okay, that's all for today. Everybody, thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of the show. The next stream is going to be this Wednesday, 5 p.m. EDT, after which we will go on hiatus. Join the Discord. Follow me on Twitter, !Patreon, to directly financially support me. Do we have a rate to give? We don't do those anymore, Moonha. It's just like a little difficult with my setup. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being a part of the show. Thank you all for your continuous support. This Wednesday is going to be the final stream before the hiatus that we go on because I'll be moving. And then after which we will be in a completely new kitchen. This is the second to last time you're seeing it. Hope you all have a really good night. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of the show. Hope you all sleep well. Have a good rest of your week. And I will see you all in 3 days' time. Bye-bye, everybody.